Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. It's the Friday night edition, so why not have a great guest for Friday night? That's what we have. Legend hunter Pat Spain is here. We're going to talk about Bigfoot in Sumatra and many other places that he has looked for monsters around the world. This is going to be entertaining. You're going to absolutely love Pat tonight. Hey, we want to get things going, so let's get it off started quickly here. Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position. Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing a silver. Race Fan with a bronze medal tonight. Hi there, Robert Lamoth and Road Flair. Anil, how are you? T-Bone, my man. Nice to have you here. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because when you're chasing down monsters, you want to be nice and lubed just in case you got to get away from them. Thank you, Mel, for the lube tonight and a great conversation coming ahead. Necessary Dialogue and Frankie B. Nice to see you. Mama Catherine, mwah. I love you, my dear. I hope you had a wonderful day, and I know you're going to love tonight's show. I know you will. This is going to be a good one. Scrolling on down, Deanna Ann is here. Deanna Ann will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. She only signs in gold Sharpie. That's it. Jaquetta, how are you? And the awesome Cat Chaser, thank you for coming on in. Cosmic Joe, thank you for joining us. D Cypher, good to see you. Eternity Eternal and Signs of Life, nice to have you both here. All right, Skip to Malou, good morning to you. Number 27 in your program, starting at center ice from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson, there he is. Undead Jed, nice to have you here as we continue on with roll call. Flat Six is here. Flat Six will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Luscious Jules, nice to see you. Kitty Caddywhack, thank you so much for kicking off the super chat tonight. We greatly appreciate your nightly love and support of Spaced Out Radio. Thank you, my dear. Love you. Right there, right in the heart. Gets the blood flowing, that's for sure. Jay Trueseeker and Matthew Goodcut, nice to have you guys back as we continue on with our roll call tonight. The gorgeous, the talented Amber Dawn Glover, nice to see you. Jessica McCreary, how are you tonight? Your hair looks wonderful as we continue on with our roll call here. Denny Staten, how are you? Welcome back. Haven't seen you here in a while. Candy, thank you for joining us. And who's next on our list here? Let's scroll on down. It's Yennefer, because she prefers a soft J over a hard J. Yeah, Yennefer. All right, moving on down. And let's go to, who do we got? Fap Nuts, how you doing? Good to see you. Stargazer, thanks for coming on in. And Amy, oh, how you doing? Good to see you. Karen in the Woo Train, thank you for joining us. Just another guy named Harry and Walter Gotchabinski. Good to have you guys here. Cool Arrow and Tyler 420, thank you for joining us. It's only 9:04, not 4:20, Tyler. 9:04 on the Pacific time zone. Yeah. That'll change, though, to 9:04 PST coming up soon. Hold on. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott, and we're going to be talking about Bigfoot in Sumatra and all over the world. Legend hopper Pat Spain is here, patspain.com, if you want to check out his website. Guy is literally all over the world searching for monsters. What a job. He's got good hair, too. Good hair. You can tell he uses good hair product in order to go out in the field. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see momentarily. That's right. Little too clean shaven for me, but the good hair. He does have the good hair. All right. We are in roll call on our YouTube side as we speak. We got about 28 seconds before we are going to launch tonight's show, and it's going to be a good one. Hey, I want to remind everybody, be like Kitty Cantywhack. The super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And don't forget, you could shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our clothes in public and be proud to wear them. Do me a favor, everybody. Throw those horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show tonight. Pat Spain is here. He is the legend tracker, literally going around the world searching for monsters. We're going to get to him momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off with a creepy story. Right after that, extra small Lee Strauss will be here for the Cryptid Q&A. Let's get right to Pat. He is a good guy, man. You're going to enjoy this show. If you've never heard him speak before, you will notice a couple of things that I've noticed before. Passion, excitement, and an unwavering attitude about learning to love finding mystical and mythical creatures that may come alive. And you get to be a part of this tonight. It's a good one. Pat is a wildlife biologist. He's a biotech expert, TV presenter, keynote speaker, author, father, cancer survivor, cryptozoologist, and cultural anthropologist with a passion for adventure. Man, this guy barely has time to really tie his own shoelaces, but he's out there doing this for the love of the hunt for the mythical creature. Yeah, I added that to the bio. He can borrow that if he wants, because that sounded good. That rolled off the tongue well. Pat thinks of himself as carrying on a family tradition by questioning the mainstream, considering unusual explanations for bizarre phenomena, and investigating these things most people write off as impossible. Pat was named Cryptozoologist of the Year of 2023 for his work in investigating cryptids and publishing the results. Let's get right to him. I'm just going to shut up here because Pat is going to bring some incredible engagement here. Pat Spain, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Your hair looks perfect. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much. I wish I could grow a beard like you. If I could, it'd be there. When on one of the first shows that I did, they wanted me to have a beard. And I just said, hey, like, I'll do my best. And they were like, yeah, just don't shave for a couple days. I was like, I haven't shaved for 2 weeks at this point. They still
Oh
couldn't
my.
tell. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I can
So
lend you some. Believe it
I
or
would
not, as
appreciate
sick and,
that.
and as twisted as this sounds, I actually have listeners who will send me their beards.
Nice.
Okay. So I actually have a collection of beards in my studio. It sounds gross. No, I'm not using them for voodoo dolls or anything like that. Okay. But if you need a beard, I can lend you one.
I do. Absolutely. Yeah. I have the facial hair of a 12-year-old. So
Oh, it reminds me of a story. My son and I, my son is 12
mhm.
and he loves hockey. Okay. Go figure, being Canadian. How cliche can that be? Right. And so usually every night, we play a game of mini sticks. And so the bet is if he wins, he gets to tug on my beard for how many goals that he scored.
Ooh,
And he doesn't just give a little tug. It is yanking my beard down and it hurts. It
I
really
like that
hurts.
bet.
So when I win, I have to tug his non-beard, so I grab his chin and I'm like, trying to pull his mustache hair that he has none because the kid hasn't even started shaving yet. He,
Yeah.
barely, I think he's just starting to enter puberty now. So, I mean, the whole thing is, it's hilarious. So my beard gets a workout just from my
Nice.
boy, and I just pray that I don't lose like 10-0 one night. You know what I'm saying? But either way, boys will be boys, I guess.
Yeah.
You're a father.
I am.
You're a
Yep, 2
scientist.
kids. Yep.
How old are your children?
11 and well, they're almost 11 and almost 7.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, it's great. And they love the outdoors. I mean, we're outside. We caught a little garter snake today. I get them kind of into all of this stuff. We go tide pooling all the time. We're constantly out there looking. We have bug nights. We raised hundreds of caterpillars. In 2020, we raised thousands of caterpillars and mantises and all kinds of other stuff. My wife puts up with it all.
She's a brave woman.
Yeah.
Brave woman. How do you share your love of monsters with your children?
Yeah, so I always think that just getting them out there and telling them the legends and the stories and teaching them about this stuff and getting them to kind of expand their horizons on it. And it's exciting to kids, right? Like every kid goes through a dinosaur phase. But when you can tell them, what if there's something real that's just as cool as dinosaurs? What if there's something that's still out there that's just as cool as dinosaurs? And then you show them some of the stuff that's really around. And even in Massachusetts, we can find some really cool stuff out there. My daughter is more into the things that I find as a biologist, the things that I find really interesting, like a nudibranch is a sea slug. Not super exciting to most people, but to my daughter and I, that's a great day. If we find a nudibranch, we're both over the moon excited.
Nice.
My son likes things that are a little bit like the kind of big, sexy animals. Like he wants to see a wolf. He wants to see a giant snake. He wants to find rattlesnakes, that kind of thing. So we can do both of them. But I think I always tie monsters back to the natural world. I don't really look at cryptozoology as too different than biology. I just say it's biology with a little bit of anthropology thrown in.
Well, I hope if your children ever see a Sasquatch, they're not as melodramatic as my son was.
Oh, what was his reaction?
In 2022, my son and I, along with two of my friends, at about 9:45 at night on a full moon night, the moon just coming down perfectly, we had an encounter with a 10-footer. He was about 80 yards away. And the reason why we could measure him was because when we went out there the next day, back to that spot, there was a tree that he was standing beside, and we could measure the tree.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And the tree was only about 8 feet tall at that time. And knowing that this guy was standing above that by about 2 feet, and he was just in the classic Sasquatch pose,
Oh, yeah.
and it was weird because I'm looking at my son and I'm like, do you see that? And he's like, yeah. I said, isn't that awesome? Yeah. Cool. Like my kid is like never too high, never too low. Like he's so even keel, so unlike his dad that way. And I'm sitting here freaking out, like, yeah, I got to see a
Yeah.
Sasquatch with my son. And he's like, oh, well, I get to play dinosaurs. But here's one thing that I did notice about my son, and I would
Mhm.
encourage you to take your kids out in that area, in an area,
Mhm.
if you don't already. His laughter when he's playing out there, it draws them in.
Oh.
Something about children, happiness, kids' laughter, kids making noise, like, when they're, acting like dinosaurs, rah, or whatever, it totally draws our guys in.
Huh. I've
They
never heard that before.
they have an attraction. And then because your children are young enough, they might actually get the telepathic communication. My boys had it. We were sitting there, my buddy Mike and I, we were sitting on his tailgate one day. My son's playing to our right, about 20, 25 feet from us, not very far. He's playing Godzilla to an anthill.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's giving the roar, 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 and he's doing his own thing. And Mike and I are on his tailgate, and all of a sudden to our left, Mike hears a tree snap, right? And he kind of taps me on the leg, and he points that way, and he whispers, I just heard tree snap over here. I'm like, okay, not a problem. So all of a sudden, like 15, 20 seconds later, like there's no way my boy could have heard Mike say what he wanted to me. And all of a sudden, my son jumps up and he goes, Dad, they're here. I said, where are they? And he points to the exact direction of where Mike had just pointed. And I said, how many of them are there? He goes, there's 2 of them. I said, well, how big are they? And he got meters and feet mixed up. And he's like 10 to 15 meters. And I'm like, son, I would put them at 60 feet tall.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, what's the other one? I said, it's feet. He goes, yeah, they're about 10 to 15 feet. I said, what are they doing? He goes, they're watching us. And I said, are they going to come close? He goes, no, they're going to stay there, but they're watching us. I said, well, are they okay with us being here? He goes, yeah, for now. And we're like having this conversation, and they are like feeding him the information to talk to us. And so after that point happened, when we take my son out there, he'll literally say, it'll be like, it's usually around between 9:45 and 10:30 at night,
Mhm.
where he'll say, hey, Dad, they want us to leave now.
Hmm.
And that'll be our sign that it's time to exit the area. But it's pretty wild, man. I recommend it for you and your kids.
No, I'm fascinated by telepathy research and consciousness, all things human consciousness, and talking about having that kind of conscious connection with other consciousnesses that are there, human and non-human. And yeah, no, that's really interesting. And kids are definitely more receptive.
The love you have for this subject, because you don't like this, you love it.
I do.
Okay. That passion that you have, how does it drive you? How does it keep you going? Because for many of us, like me, I could be at my daytime job or even doing this show, I'm still thinking about the force. How do you keep that passion going and on fire while being a family man, while being a scientist, while doing everything else that you do in your life?
Yeah, I want the answers, man. That's what it comes down to, is that it's constantly driving me because we don't have the answers yet. When there's not something that I can read and figure, something that I need to figure out on my own, I will spend years or spend my life trying to get those answers. And that's just constantly in the back of my mind. So like you said, I can be working my day job, but I'm thinking about the next trip, the next adventure, the next thing that I want to research, the next thing that I want to find. And the only way to get the answers in this field is to go out and find them yourself.
You have had an opportunity that many researchers have wanted. You've been on television many a times. You've done documentaries, television shows, all in these subjects that you love and adore. How did that road begin for you when so many people are like, man, I just wish I could be in Pat Spain's shoes for like 10 minutes, man?
A lot of people wouldn't feel that way if they saw the places where I've slept and where I've eaten and where I go. The way that we do it is a little bit different, but it all started with just that passion for wildlife. Ever since I was a little kid, I've been absolutely fascinated and just enthralled by the mysterious creatures of the world. And, the giant squid is what got me into it. And I wanted to find out more about that. So I went to school for marine biology and I got some of the answers, but I still wanted more. So I kept exploring. I kept looking for these animals where in their own habitat, where they live. And I kept on getting more and more and more questions. I found out my family history, my family connection to Charles Fort, how he's a great great uncle. I found that out after I had already read Fort's works, and then it all kind of clicked into place that, like, yeah, I should really be doing this research. And I really, like I said, cryptozoology to me is biology with a little bit of anthropology thrown in, and that's what I live. So field biology is what led to it all. I went out, I decided that I loved giving talks about wildlife. So I love finding the wildlife and then getting other people as excited about them as I am. And you do that by giving speeches, by giving talks. So I'd go to the beach with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and I'd go to tide pools, even though I was an adult man. And I'd go there and I'd be catching all this stuff. And then soon you get a crowd gathered around you. You get some kids, usually it's kids, because kids are as excited about animals as I am. And I'd start to give these talks. And I started to notice that as I got older, some of the parents got a little nervous. We're like, maybe don't go near the strange man holding the rattlesnake. And my wife said, you love this. You need to figure out something that will give you some credibility so that parents know that you're safe and that you can continue to kind of give these talks. And she suggested television. Beautiful. And it was just right at that time that Animal Planet was running a show called King of the Jungle, where they were looking for, just anyone who was very interested in this to go out. So I was working in the labs at the time in biotech in a microbiology lab. I told my boss that I wasn't going to be in the next day, and I drove to Ohio and auditioned for King of the Jungle, where I ended up going through the full audition process and making it on. Made some friends with the crew, and then I started filming my own wildlife show. So I just went on to the early days of YouTube, like 2003 YouTube. Started making my own wildlife show that I self-funded, maxed out all my credit cards, and flew myself and my friends all around the world to find different animals. That eventually caught the eye of a production company who asked me if I'd ever heard of a man named Charles Fort. And I was like, funny enough. And that's how it all, went about. They asked if I was interested in cryptids. I gave a very rambling answer, kind of like I am right now. And they loved it. And then I've just been fortunate enough to be able to keep going with it.
Outside of Bigfoot and maybe a couple of others, there are so many different cryptid creatures out there that we talk about on a daily basis. Could be sea monsters, could be dinosaurs. A good friend of ours of this show, Brian Bowden, he was driving home from Missouri, through, I believe, Alabama, back to Florida, and literally swears by God that he had a pterodactyl fly over his car. This is things that are happening to people. In your scientific thought process, outside of Bigfoot, because I know Bigfoot exists, I've seen it. Okay. What cryptid creatures do you think are still actually out there?
Sea monsters, for sure. So sea serpents. I think that something in the deep, deep ocean, we know. I mean, I always go back to the Darren Naish kind of mode of how he did the analysis to determine how many large undiscovered creatures were left in the deep ocean. And he gets, I believe it's somewhere between 6 and 12. Don't quote me on that, Darren, but I'd have to go back to his paper. But for sure, even the most conservative marine biologist that you speak with will say that there are unknown creatures at the bottom of the ocean. Really big stuff, too, things that we will find. And I think that all of the evidence points us towards that. Some kind of shark, some kind of squid. Those are the two most likely candidates, some kind of cephalopod, some kind of shark. But there's other things as well.
And who knows, because recently they found a new breed of killer whale down in the Antarctic.
Yeah, I can't remember
Few years
exactly
ago.
where it is, but a lot of times what they're doing now is they're doing a genetic analysis. So scientists will get really excited and say we have a new species, but when you look at it, to most people, it won't look too distinct from the known species, which is still great. I mean, it's phenomenal, but it really gets down to the question of how do you determine what's a species, and that's a huge wormhole in the biological community. You know, some people say it comes down to genes, some people are more phenotypes, some people are talking about breeding. So there really isn't a scientific consensus on how we actually determine what a species is. And with that one, with the killer whale, I believe it was a genetic analysis that led them to conclude that. But they do have different feeding preferences as well.
Right. See, I still think there is some sort of monster shark out there. It
Sure.
may not be megalodon. Max Hawthorne, a crypto writer, usually he writes fiction, but he does a lot of real-time research on these. I mean, he's studied a lot of these sightings that have been coming out. He believes that there is some sort of growing super great white out there that is patrolling the oceans. And there's been, even though there really hasn't been a lot of sightings of them, but there is a lot of analysis. One of those was a number of years ago where a 15-foot great white was caught in the net of a in Australia that they have protecting the beaches, and there was a shark bite out of its neck that went from spine to spine, and that was measured at believed to be, they believed it would be anywhere from 22 to 29 feet long in order to create that bite and kill it instantly. I mean, are we seeing a mutation, if we can use that word, of a lot of these creatures that are growing bigger again?
So I think I have a I think that there are certainly unknown sharks that are out there, and I think there are probably some really big ones still. But something a mega-sized great white would be pretty tough just because of the food sources that it would need. And with the ocean depletion that we're seeing, with the loss of species, I think it gets even harder to see something like a mega great white. I think that we are more likely to see something like a Greenland shark or some type of plankton feeder shark, something really large that we'll find out there, or some smaller sharks that could be in the deep ocean for sure. That would look super weird and may not look exactly what we think of with sharks. But there are the lone individuals. I mean, they just got that footage of the giant tuna a couple weeks ago. So there are some really big things left to see, and an almost 30-foot long great white wouldn't entirely surprise me to see that there's one out there.
Mhm. Well, I mean, you look at humans. Humans have been getting taller. I mean,
Sure.
what was it back in the 40s and 50s? The average height was about 5'5" to 5'7",
Yeah.
and now it's closer to 6 feet. I mean, we are
With
getting
improved
bigger.
improved nutrition and better healthcare, and yeah, and then just genetic prefer or different preferences as well. You're starting to see sexual forces to bring about some changes. But yeah, I mean, every species on Earth is constantly evolving.
We
So that's the
we
thing.
have
There
1
is
minute to go before we got to go to break. Pat Spain is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. What's your favorite creature to search for?
I really loved the Orang Pendek research, and I really, really want to get back to Sumatra for that. Everything about it was mind blowing to me and completely changed my perspective. I had a very, very different idea before I got there than when I left.
Oh, you're going to have to get in depth with that in the next half hour.
Sounds great.
You really are, because I think we look at it, and please excuse my naivety if it is a naive comment, but I think we look at it that Bigfoot is Bigfoot. If they're white, they're abominable snowman or yeti. If they're cinnamon or brown, they're Bigfoot.
Sure.
And yet it almost seems like there's different subcultures of this species that we really need to analyze, like the Orang Pendek or the Yowie down in Australia. I mean, it's more than just
Yaren in China,
changing the
or
names.
oh, for sure. Oh yeah. No, the hairy hominin phenomena around the world is yeah, it's remarkable.
We're going to get into that with Pat Spain. If you want his website, patspain.com, I highly suggest you check it on out. Check out his material. This is going to be a great show. Bigfoot in Sumatra. the Orang Pendek, coming up next on the Mighty SOR. All right, we're clear. All right, let me just unmute you here. I could listen to you speak all night, man.
Oh, thank you. You too.
You would love our area.
Oh yeah, I do. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world.
No, I mean where we investigate.
Oh, right. Oh, absolutely. Yes.
It is very claustrophobic because you're literally surrounded by trees and brush.
Old growth. Oh,
Our gifting site is at the base of about 110 foot tree.
Oh my God. It's so powerful. There is something, you can feel it in the air when you were in the old growth forests in Canada. It's just like nothing else.
I will tell you this. When I go up to that tree, I always talk to it about how beautiful it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the tree responds.
Oh yeah. I mean,
energetically, the tree responds. Like that tree knows I love that tree.
Yeah. There's some really fascinating studies about sentience in trees and tree communication with each other, and that we can experience. It's pretty unreal.
Have you ever studied, I know we're off air here, but I'll ask you this. Have you ever studied the fact that trees move?
So not I mean just casually, not like not in school or anything like that. But yeah.
Like we're literally, you'll be watching like a trail cam footage and the tree will be there in one shot, say right here, for the next 30 seconds, it's over here, and then it moves back. Oh
no. I thought you meant like, slow and gradual over time, like that kind of thing. Or some of the walking trees,
actual moving.
Oh no, I haven't.
Oh, it is an incredible piece of phenomena that we do not study enough.
No, in fact, I've never even heard of that. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah.
Is there like a book that you can recommend, or
no?
Like
a guy who used to come on this show quite a bit. His name's John Tenney. He has been studying that. I don't think he's put a lot into it, but he actually has footage of it. And he studied it in Minnesota, or pardon me, in Michigan, the northern peninsula of Michigan. But he said you can literally, if you set up a video trail cam for a while, you have to watch the footage like a hawk. And he goes, eventually the trees will literally start to move. And it's not a camera glitch where all of a sudden you'll see the tree, say, move over 2-3 inches, and then it'll move back, or it will completely vanish and then reappear.
Yeah, no, I've never heard that, but I would definitely like to read more about that.
Yeah.
I only took one botany course in college and I loved it. At the time, I would say I didn't appreciate it, but I've gotten way more into it, mostly as food sources for the animals that I study. But yeah, no, that would be something that and there's not really much of a field of kind of, paranormal experience with plants. So yeah, I'd be into that.
Yeah, but this big tree, man, where we have our gifting site, you'd love this tree.
Oh God. Oh yeah. Well, any old growth forest.
Yeah.
I've only experienced it a few times in my life, but every time I have, it's left a deep impression on me.
Especially the Vancouver Island trees.
Oh, for sure.
They're like, you get some of them where they're like 300-400 years old.
Yeah.
And they're like 180 feet tall.
Yeah.
It's ridiculously gorgeous.
There was a tree in England near one of my friends' houses that I couldn't even if I spread my arms out all the way, I still wasn't even getting close to around the trunk of it. And I could just spend all day in front of that one.
There's one in an area called, if you're ever back on Vancouver Island, on kind of in the middle of the island on the highway heading to Port Alberni and Ucluelet, There is an old growth forest there called Cathedral Grove.
Hmm.
They have one tree there that I believe is like 35, 37 feet around.
Yeah.
And it's funny. And here's where it will also tie into what you like is the lake leading up to that Cathedral Grove is said to have a sea monster in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And the lake it's called the Cameron Lake Monster.
Okay.
Yeah. Cameron
I'm always
Lake
looking for
Monster.
lake monsters.
Yeah. We coming back in about 15 seconds. Thank you to Peruta, Cat Chaser, and Kitty Cattywhack for the super chats. We greatly appreciate your love. While you're watching, shop at our store on our website, spacedoutradio.com. And here we go, everybody. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. If you're into monsters, this is the one you want to watch. My name is Dave Scott. Our guest tonight, Pat Spain, we'll bring him in momentarily. But first, we want to remind all of you, I don't know if you know this or not, but our archives are always free. YouTube, any major podcast network. Why are they free? Let me explain. I remember being in college where I could barely afford to eat, and I couldn't get a membership to my favorite radio shows because I just couldn't do it. So I said, screw it. If I ever do this kind of show, my archives are always going to be free. So you get to tune them on in anytime you want. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Pat Spain here, his website, patspain.com. He is a legend hunter, and we're going to go to the beautiful country of Sumatra because they have a Bigfoot there that Pat's going to tell us all about. This is his passion. This is his glory. This is his money shot on trying to prove the existence of the Orang Pendek. Pat, welcome back.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Tell us about the Orang Pendek.
Orang Pendek is sort of a small Bigfoot, so a little foot, if you will. And it's from time immemorial. You know, there's always been these stories about them, and they go by different names. You'll hear people describe them in slightly different ways. But I went to Sumatra truly thinking that this was a mistaken identity. The way that I generally approach any cryptid is what are the known species in the animal, or what are the known animals in the region where this thing is being spotted that look a little bit like it or act a little bit like it or that could be mistaken identity for it. Because you spend a lot of time in the woods. I spend a lot of time in the woods. You know, your eyes play tricks on you sometimes. And sometimes their animals act weird. They act in ways that you don't expect. And they look a little different in certain lighting or something like that. So that's kind of my baseline, is I assume that something is mistaken identity. And I went into Sumatra believing that Orang Pendek was likely a mistaken identity for an orangutan. And I left there realizing how arrogant that is from someone who doesn't live there, and how very wrong I was. This is a creature that I believe that there are likely two different species of unknown creature, one more gibbon-like and one that's truly a hominin. And we know that Homo floresiensis lived there, you know, the hobbit, the small human that lived on the island of Flores, very close to Sumatra. And they are very likely still around some of the islands in Indonesia, or were there very recently. I was able to meet with the man who discovered Homo floresiensis. His name was Mike Morwood, and he's an incredible researcher. Unfortunately, he passed away shortly after he and I met. But he told me that he had found evidence that Homo floresiensis was still there until at least the 1920s. And he said, the evidence that I found is not publishable. It's not able to go into a scientific journal, but I'm working on it. I'm working on building that. And he passed away before any of that evidence came to light. And to hear that from a researcher like Mike was just absolutely life-changing for me. The people that I spoke with, the eyewitnesses, they were not describing an orangutan. They know orangutans. This is not just unusual orangutan behavior or gibbon behavior. This is a unique species that they were describing. And one of the things that really struck me was how commonplace this was for them. A lot of times when you meet with somebody who's seen a cryptid or who is describing a cryptid, it's burned into their memory. It's this moment in their life that that they will forever, they will never be able to forget, and they've described it a million times. To a lot of the people that I met with in Sumatra, this was like me talking about a squirrel. They were like, "Oh yeah, Orang Pendek. Yeah, I saw him over in the back by there. He was stealing some sugar from me." It's the same way that we think about the squirrels coming to raid our bird feeders in here. Everyone wanted to talk to me about tigers, because they found tigers fascinating and they thought that's a way better story. Why is this guy here all the way from America and wants to talk to us about these things? Yeah, they're like, yeah, there's not as many of them as there used to be, but no, let me tell you about the time I saw a tiger. And that led even more credence in my mind to, okay, no, this is not something that someone is saying for attention. This is something that is truly there. And when I was talking to a witness, and I in retrospect, I was implying that potentially this could have been an orangutan. This guy honestly sat back and smiled, and he was like, all right. The only people who don't believe in Orang Pendek are people who don't live in my forest. And I was like, all right, true.
Why is it considered a cryptid if people in Sumatra believe that these things are just part of nature?
We still haven't. We don't have a holotype species. We don't have a holotype example of this. So there's nothing in a museum. There's nothing that exists where we can say, like, this is the skull of an Orang Pendek, or this is. We don't have a species in captivity. We don't have a captured one. We don't have an incredibly clear video footage that shows undisputably that this is a new creature. And the theory for that is that. So again, I believe that there's two different ones in Indonesia. I think that there's one that's more gibbon-like and one that's more that's a hominid. The one that's a hominid, I don't think it's in Sumatra, but I do think that it's in some of the other islands around Indonesia, and that would be a descendant of Homo floresiensis. The one that's in Sumatra, I do think is a nocturnal relative of a gibbon that has evolved to walk upright. Likely because of predation by tigers, and does not use trails. And really the only way that we can find animals in a jungle like that, because let me tell you, this is the most difficult terrain that I've ever been in, and I've been in a lot of places. The only ones that we can find are on trails. So if you talk about an animal that's not using trails, that's nocturnal, and that is very intelligent, and that exists in extremely small numbers, it makes sense that it's still hidden.
So the fact that you're looking for mini Sasquatches, has there, even the people there, never found a skeleton? They've never found remains, or they just figure that's just part of nature, just let it go?
So some of them have. There has been some that have collected different bones for various reasons. It's never been analyzed. It is extremely difficult to work in a scientific expedition with the Indonesian government. The hassles are beyond numerous, let's just say. I'll keep it very, very neutral and just say it is extremely difficult. It is easier to get a TV crew in there than it is to get a scientific expedition. And if you start to blur that line and start to do some real science, the fees, the difficulties, the collection of your materials gets pretty overwhelming very, very quickly. So also, just in the forest, a skeleton isn't going to last. We know that there are tapirs there, but I would challenge anybody to find the skeleton of a tapir in Sumatra, because it's such a harsh environment, it's such a rainy environment, it's such dense undergrowth that once a large animal dies, between scavengers and rot, it's just going to be gone. It's going to be gone to the elements very, very quickly.
And nature, I think a lot of people think it's easy being out in nature. Like even in my area where it's a different kind, nature is very good at cleaning up after itself
Oh man. Yeah.
and
So
quickly.
oh God, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw that firsthand with in both West Africa and in Sumatra. That when you're talking about jungles, like gorillas, for example, I was tracking gorillas, and I asked the researchers like, how many dead gorillas do you find? And they've been doing decades of gorilla research, and they were like, yeah, if one dies and we're not to it within a day, we're never going to find it. And that's a massive animal that they're tracking, that they know is there. They know the exact area where they can find the troop. They know where they were the night before, and they said unless they're there within a day, they're never going to find it. So and in Sumatra, I mean, it's even worse, I would say. So I lost all of the skin on my body. I lost 2 layers of skin off my entire body from rot, just from being constantly wet. You're putting on wet clothes in the morning. You're going to sleep in a wet sleeping bag. You're going through torrential downpours. You're hiking through knee-deep mud. You're covered in leeches. I'm going to sleep at night with rats jumping on my head, trying to gnaw through my tent. This is not an easy place to go through.
And in BC, we call that Vancouver on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right. But for people who've never been there, I've never traveled outside of North America, but for people who've never been there or unfamiliar with that type of territory, please explain the terrain.
Sure. So just to get to the area that we knew was kind of a hotbed for Orang Pendek sightings, and this would be the one that I believe is more gibbon-like, a nocturnal, relative of a gibbon that has evolved to walk upright. To get to that area was a 3-day hike from the nearest village up a active volcano, inactive volcano, but still inactive volcano. But with there were earthquakes while we were hiking up this. It's at points a near vertical climb where you're pulling yourself up roots in a torrential downpour. And then it's a hike down the other side of it into the opening, and then about a 2-hour cross in dugout canoes that are filling with water as you're going across and are very easy to tip in absolutely freezing water where you've lost all your energy. So you do this 2-hour kind of canoe through there, and then you get just to the area, the outskirts of the area where you may be able to see something. Then it's multiple hours hike into the forest again. And some of the mountaintops that we were climbing up, our guides were saying that, due to local customs and beliefs and just the inaccessibility of it, they believe that nobody has ever climbed to the top of some of these mountains.
Man. And you're also battling a lot of wild animals. You mentioned gibbons, which are like monkey-like creatures. You're battling tigers, which,
Oh yeah, I saw a tiger just a few feet away from me one night while we were out getting camera traps. But they do call them polite tigers in Sumatra. So they're going to check you out. They're going to want to look at you, but they're very unlikely to attack. But yeah, there are tigers. There's venomous snakes. There's thorns everywhere. Everything that you try to grab to steady yourself, you're going to get a handful of thorns. You're going to get them all over you. So I was a lot more concerned about disease than I was about any of the wildlife. Venomous snakes are always a risk, but I kind of know how to handle myself around that, and I know what to look for and where to not grab for the most part. But I'm just worried about constantly getting infections from everything that you're getting cut by and from the water that you're drinking and things, just dropping off the trees. We're getting leeches dropping into our eyes. We're getting bitten by parasitic flies. We're getting just covered in everything you can think of. Just trying to go to the bathroom in the morning is a struggle.
Oh my goodness. Ugh.
Yeah. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'll go with you," and then I'll tell them some of the stories. They're like, "Maybe not. Maybe not on that one."
Getting back to these tigers for a second.
Sure.
I've been close to cougars.
Yeah.
Okay. Not the high heel kind. Okay. But in the forest, the real four-legged ones. And they are intimidating,
Oh yeah.
but they're not looking to hunt humans. Tigers have been known to hunt humans.
In India. So there a couple different subspecies, a couple different species of tigers. The ones that are in Indonesia, yes. So they have been known to hunt people, for sure. Mountain lions have as well. I did a show on Animal Planet called "How Not to Die," where that was the whole point of the show, was Pat's not going to die, and we did an episode on mountain lions, where I went out and tracked mountain lions all through the desert out in California, outside of Palm Springs. And yeah, getting up close to one of them is pretty wild, man. Those are an intense animal, and the young ones, especially the young males, will track you for miles. And if you give them a chance, some of the young males will attack you, especially if you're on a bike or if you're walking with a dog. But tigers, when I was in India, I was a lot more concerned about tigers than when I was in Sumatra. They are big, they are impressive, they are absolutely stunning and beautiful creatures. But the ones in Sumatra really were more curious than aggressive. They've got enough small prey. The name of the game with any large animal is get the easiest meal that you can. The easiest meal that is the least likely to hurt me. Right? The thing, because in an environment like that, one injury can lead to death, because that injury can get infected, and animals have evolved to be aware of this. So they're trying to eat whatever the easiest thing is. So when they see 6-foot me walking on 2 legs through the forest, I don't look like an easy meal. I look weird. So I look like a curiosity. I look like something that they're going to want to explore, but not necessarily something that they're going to want to eat, because they have a lot of other things available to them that are much, much easier meals. And that's actually my theory as to why Orang Pendek would have evolved to walk upright, because of the potential predation from a tiger, because of that split-second pause. Oh, something's standing. Something is on 2 legs. That's weird. That doesn't look like prey. That's really all that it takes for an animal to be able to get away. It just needs that, pause from the apex predator of the region.
Mm-hmm. Where are these Orang Pendek located? Like, do they stay in the higher mountainous areas? Are they by rivers, creeks? Are they in areas where there seems to be a lot of natural predation? How do they live?
The theory is that they are wanderers, that they are migratory. And based on the sightings, it does hold true that they're kind of spotted in different regions of the country at different times. And all of the stories from the local people are that they need continuous forest. So they're most often spotted in the large areas of forest. And when I did talk to people there, when I got them to talk to me about Orang Pendek and not the tigers that they wanted to tell me about, they have this spiritual connection with the tigers. So I don't mean to make light of it at all, but it just was fascinating to me. But when I would get them to talk about Orang Pendek, they did say that their grandparents saw them more frequently. Their parents saw a couple of them, and that anyone who I spoke with who was an eyewitness and had seen one said they had never seen the young one. They had only seen the older ones. And all of this holds true to an animal that would be migratory, that would have a naturally small population and is potentially aging out. As the forest gets turned into rubber plantations and palm oil plantations, and as the forest gets cut and brought through by different roads that are coming through, their forest gets smaller and smaller. And they are animals that are not specialists. They are, and I use the term animal, but yeah, there's a lot of issues with that as well, as you know from Bigfoot research. But these animals are very likely generalists, where the theory goes that they use the forest like a buffet. They're eating a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And as they move through the forest, they're finding all different food sources, and they're kind of foraging as they go. So it's really not one area where they're found. It's at different times of year. They're found in different parts of the forest, but they're using the entire thing as their buffet. And they are likely aging out.
Do we know what their food is? Are they plant eaters? Are they omnivores?
Omnivores. Yeah, they've been observed eating everything from roots, from digging up roots to breaking sugarcane and eating some of the not sugarcane. I'm sorry. There's another like palm that's very similar to sugarcane, to some of the fruits from the forest, as well as eggs and some small like insects and things.
We have 4.5 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. And Pat Spain is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, talking about the little big feats of Sumatra. Now, Pat, I know you come from a very scientific, methodical background in your research and your connection. I look at things, a little bit differently. And I think that when it comes to the North American Bigfoot or Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it, I think there's something, I don't use the word magical. I'm going to use the word special about these creatures where take footprints, for instance. You never find, it's rare to find a full track of prints. You may find one and then the second one 30 feet up or 70 feet up or further than that. Okay. A lot of people believe that Bigfoot has some sort of supernatural ability. Are those types of legends also found in Sumatra as well with the Orang Pendek?
They aren't. No, they really speak about Orang Pendek in the same way that we talk about squirrels. It's really just one of the things that lives in the forest. They'll talk about tapirs, they'll talk about Orang Pendek, they'll talk about orangutans, and they'll talk about gibbons, all in the same breath. There's not a distinction made. They do talk about that kind of stuff with tigers. There's a lot of spirituality with tigers. There's a lot of appearing and disappearing and needing to get the tiger's approval. Before we could go into one region of the forest, we had to go to a shamanic ceremony and have a shaman bless us and get the tiger's permission, the tiger that protected this particular region of the forest, in order to enter it. And kind of a 2-for-1, the shaman also removed a demon from me, which was supposedly the reason I was having so much car trouble. And I do have to say, I have not, knock on wood, I have not had as much car trouble since then. And I still have a demon in a marble that's in my basement right now.
Oh, wow. In a marble?
In a marble.
You carry the demon home to show him off.
Yeah. Well, I'm supposed to complete a ceremony that I have not been able to do. So what the shaman told me is that the demon is encased in the marble. Unless I break the marble, it's all good. But the way for me to get rid of it completely is to take the marble, put it into a bowl, and mix it with lemon juice and fresh chicken blood, and then paint my car in different points with this. And that will banish the demon forever. But for now, I'm good with just keeping him in the marble.
An extended warranty probably would have solved the problem too.
I don't know, man. I had some real weird car trouble before this. I had a steering wheel crumble in my hands once while I was driving. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
We had multiple
what year
vehicles
is your
light
vehicle?
on fire.
Is it like a 62 Pinto or something?
No. These were like cars that were supposedly good. I had some problems. So, I mean, and since the exorcism, it really has been, I haven't had as many issues. I haven't as many weird issues, I'll say. So I'm glad I got that marble.
1 minute to go here. How do you blend your scientific mind with legends and supernatural stories? How do you find a happy balance?
Yeah, so I mean, anthropology was my minor. Cultural anthropology, philosophy was my minor in college, because that aspect of human nature also, fascinates me as much as the natural world does. And that's how I look at it. I look at it through that lens. I look at like what are these legends? What is the importance of these legends? I'm not going to tell people that they're wrong. Because there's something too, like there's a grain of truth in every story. There's something there. And I'm very interested into what the importance of this is. So I don't see it as too distinct from a scientific, from a scientific expedition or analysis.
We're going to leave it right there for right now, because I can't believe we're already through hour number 1. Hour number 2 with Pat Spain is coming up on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to continue the monsters and legends talk. Why? Because we can, and it's fun. And guess what? It's not politics. You get a break. You get a break listening to this show where you may not believe it, but hey, we're here doing it for you to take your mind away. PatSpain.com is his website. The Legend Tripper continues with us on Spaced Out Radio right after this. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, my man, we are clear. I'm just going to take a quick break here. I'm going to put you back in the green room. We got just over 5.5 minutes, okay?
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to grab some water also.
All right, be right back. Be right back, everybody. back. Just bear with me because I am battling a little bit of case of the sniffles here. All right, there we go. We got about a minute to go here, Pat. This is awesome. Thank you for tonight, my friend.
No, thank you. This is excellent.
I would love to take you to Flight 21.
Yeah, I would really love to see it.
Oh, dude.
I want to see that tree.
Yeah. We if you have a few minutes after hour number 2, my guy Lee is coming on in. He was up here about a month ago, and I brought him there, and he investigates out at the Pacific Northwest in Washington State where he lives, and he was just blown away.
Yeah.
He's like, it's everywhere you turn. It's everywhere you turn. It's, oh, can't wait to get there Sunday.
Yeah, those old growth forests, man.
Oh, yeah, man. We're coming back in 3 seconds. Hold on. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to say hello to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Euloginous is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. The legend hunter himself, Pat Spain, is here. You may have seen him on television, documentaries, many radio shows like this one. His website, patspain.com. Pat, thank you so much for being here as we continue on looking for the little big feats of Sumatra. Man.
Thanks for having me.
Man. These almost sound like little humanoids, almost like what First Nations people in North America might call the little people. You know, is there a similarity to that?
Yeah, there is. So I have read some of the legends from the First Nations about the little people, and I think that there is a similarity with what we hear about the Orang Pendek. Orang Pendek, potentially Homo floresiensis. And a lot of places around the world have stories about these small human-like creatures. You think about elves, you think about leprechauns, you think about, it's sort of embedded within human existence that we have these stories about these small tricksters. And I do think that in most of these stories, that's what they are. They are tricksters. They are, some kind of not quite evil, but some kind of menacing presence. And those are the stories that we've heard, about the Ibu Gogo, particularly in Sumatra, where, and that could very well be the thing behind some of the sightings of Homo floresiensis.
So do you think maybe then that they have their own little villages out in the forest somewhere? Do you think that maybe they live underground in some sort of cavernous type system? Where do you think they live?
So I think that in the modern era, where the stories go that there are not villages, that these are more of a very, very small tribal bands, kind of wandering. If you think about like the Pygmy tribes in West Africa. So I was fortunate enough to live with two different, first spend a short amount of time with two different tribes, Pygmy tribes in West Africa. And they do make temporary shelters, somewhere to stay, but for the most parts are wandering through the forests. And that is how, Homo floresiensis was described as well. is more of a wanderer, more of, there'd be small bands, familial bands that then go all through the forests. And that's really why we think that why Mike believed that they were only there up until the 1920s, because once Western settlers arrived and really started a lot of destruction of the forest, these small bands were not able to persist. And, while there may still be some remnant population of them, not enough to really keep the population going for too much longer. But there's like 17,000 islands in Indonesia, I believe. I don't think I'm making that number up. I think it's right around there. And a large amount of them are uninhabited, and a large amount of them, could provide enough forest cover for a small population of hominids to still live.
Okay, so are these centralized to one of the islands, or have they been seen on other islands as well?
No, they're spotted on a large number of the islands. In fact, pretty much everywhere where people go regularly, there are stories about a Homo floresiensis-like creature.
Are they afraid of people?
Yes. So there are a lot of stories about avoidance of Homo sapiens, and just the idea that that we look different, we are apparently dangerous, and I think that throughout human history, Homo sapiens have shown themselves to be very dangerous to essentially each other and everything else, every other living creature. So I think that is a warranted caution on the aspect of any other hominid that we might come across. So yes, there is a lot of stories about avoidance. The most famous story about Ibugogo, which again could explain Homo floresiensis and Orang Pendek, is of this creature, this human-like creature, being tracked by a number of locals into a cave, and then the cave being set on fire, being filled with flammable materials and being set on fire. And this creature knew enough to stay away from the villages and knew enough to try to avoid any human settlements, and then was eventually killed by humans. So I think that if we take that as an archetypal story, if we take this as not just one event, but likely this happened many, many, many times, this could be the story of the extinction of these small hominids, at least on inhabited islands. So our best chance for looking for them would be to go to uninhabited islands.
Oh, wow.
Which
Wow.
would be really challenging. I am friends with, I would refer to him as the best camera trapper in the world, Jeremy Holden, who is just remarkable in what he can capture. He's the first one to get images of a Sumatran rabbit. He has multiple images of Sumatran tigers and tapirs and other just sun bears, other phenomenal animals, and lots of birds. And he was not able to get a camera trap image of an Orang Pendek, but he does believe that with the technology that exists now, he was trying to do this back in the late 90s, I believe. But with the technology that exists now, he does believe that if he was given another crack at it, he'd be able to. And I do think that he's the best one to do this. I think that if we truly had a really well-funded expedition, that we would be able to get an image on some of these extremely remote islands.
It sounds like the people of Sumatra are not really interested in proving the existence because they already know.
That's correct.
That being said, here in North America, there are literally thousands upon thousands of trail cams out there specifically looking for Sasquatch or Dogman or whatever else is weird and strange. So my question would be, are there people over there who are setting up trail cameras, who are setting up, some sort of video imagery to try and capture these on film or by photo?
So yes, there are, but there's a really big but. It is extremely difficult to get into the parts of the forest where these creatures are spotted. This is, as I said, days, out of the way into really inhospitable territory, and there are very strict government regulations around this.
Are they a protected species?
No, they are not, but the areas themselves are protected, and there's also a lot of government corruption, like a lot of government corruption. And in order to get to some of the areas, it involves huge payoffs. It involves bringing a government official with you in order to go there, and providing all of the resources and everything else that is required for this government official to be with you for the entire time, and the potential confiscation of anything that you do discover. And they are developing nations. Indonesia is a developing nation. It is when you leave the cities. So if you go to Jakarta, if you go to Bali, if you go to some of the touristy spots, it's beautiful and gorgeous, and there are huge cities, and it's incredible, and it's fairly easy to get around. But when you go to the places where these creatures are supposed to live, it becomes much, much, much more challenging. And there is not a lot of spare income, I would say, is an okay way to put it. There's not a lot of spare income to invest in expensive trail cameras for things that may or may not yield any kind of results.
A lot of those Eastern Asian countries hunt specific creatures out there for
Sure.
alleged medicinal purposes, everything from disease to trying to get the libido going.
Mhm.
Are these things poached? Do we know if there are poachers looking for these?
No, so there is not a very strong history of that sort of medicine being practiced in there. There's not a lot of animal medicine. There is a very, very deep respect for all wildlife. My experience in Sumatra was that everyone that we encountered had a deep respect for wildlife, and was only hunting the things that they were absolutely going to eat. And there was no real waste that I saw, and there was no hunting specifically for medicinal properties, and you didn't get the legends. We did hear stories about some businessmen from other countries coming over and offering large amounts of money for things like tiger and for other endangered species. And to their credit, everyone that we came across said that they would refuse any of those offers. I spoke with a farmer who was offered 2 years' salary if he would kill the tiger that they knew existed on his property. And he said that's very, very short-sighted. That would be incredibly short-sighted, because if I kill the tiger, then all of the pigs are going to come and ruin my farm. And yeah, I'll get 2 years' salary, but I'm leaving this farm to my kids. And if the pigs come and ruin it, and if this tiger isn't there to reproduce and to have other tigers that come and protect it, then I'm not going to have anything to leave to my children. And 2 years isn't really going to help me very much. And I was incredibly impressed with that, and found that in most places that I was in Sumatra, that same mindset kind of persisted.
They understand that taking away one problem creates many other problems.
Absolutely correct. Yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. You believe this creature exists?
I do, and I did not before I got there, I will say, but I do now. I don't know. I can't. I don't have the evidence to say that it is still there, but I do believe that it was there very recently, and I think there are very credible sightings within the last 25 years. But I don't have an extreme amount of confidence that they are still there, at least in the areas where I was. If I could get to those more remote islands, the places that are uninhabited, I could gather some more data and I might feel a little better about it. But the scientist in me won't let me completely commit and say that they're still there. But certainly within my lifetime, they were.
You seem very concerned about its future existence.
I do. Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think that we are seeing destruction of habitat on a scale that's almost unfathomable. We're seeing the conversion of old growth rainforest into palm oil plantations and into rubber plantations and into farmland, just the clear cutting of a lot of forests for farms. And we're seeing, climate change severely impact. The rainy season is changing drastically and becoming less of a season, and much more difficult to predict. We're seeing erosion from that, and we're seeing just a destruction of the entire way of life. We're also seeing a lot of the native population, the truly, the indigenous people who still live in a very, very traditional way. We are seeing that lifestyle being completely uprooted and destroyed as well, just with modernization. And now I am concerned because the capital of Indonesia is being moved. And I think that we'll see urbanization of certain areas of Sumatra, which were not before. So,
And unfortunately, that's part of earthly growth.
it is.
You
It
know?
is. It's one of those things I have a very hard time, and I fully recognize that it is a Western view to even have the luxury to consider this. But yeah, it's really challenging. When I was living with different tribes, the Pygmy tribes, for example, I am constantly struggling. I saw a 3-year-old. I have kids. I know what 3-year-olds are like. I saw a 3-year-old who was given a machete almost as large as they are. And one of the grandfathers in the tribe was teaching them how to kill venomous centipedes that were inching towards this child and, getting closer and closer. And this little 3-year-old's trying to hold a machete. And I'm having a very Western struggle with that. But at the same time, I see a 3-year-old on an iPhone and playing with that, and I don't feel great about that either. So I am not able to judge what life is better, or which way of life is better or more important or more, right. But I know that things are changing drastically, and that there's a way of life that has existed for forever and is no longer available to people.
You've been there a few times now. Have you seen any personal evidence of these creatures, whether it's footprints, markings on trees, maybe little carvings? What have you seen?
Yeah, I saw markings on trees, and I did see some footprints that, if you look at it with one eye closed, it's possible, but nothing that was overly convincing from the footprint realm. But I did see some markings on trees that did absolutely appear that an upright bipedal animal had grabbed this tree, and there's just this beautiful moss that grows on the tree, just as absolutely gorgeous, really distinct kind of patterns of moss. And you could see where an animal had grabbed it and pulled down on the moss, and then had grabbed the next tree and then pulled. And it was not in a pattern that would be consistent with a gibbon. And there are no orangutans in the area where I was. And this was a trail where a person who I had a personal relationship with, I knew this individual, and I completely trusted and believed what he said. He had seen an Orang Pendek come through. And as we were looking, he's like, it was right over here, and this is where I saw it. And we walked over, and I'm looking at the trees, and then I see those hand pulls, and I was like, oh yeah, that all adds up. That makes sense.
What's the biggest difference between looking for Orang Pendek and, say, going to Australia to look for Yowie, or going to, other areas where Bigfoot exists?
Sure. So I think that it's the availability of I think it's the inaccessibility of the area, and the ability to go to a place where there really isn't human interaction, where you are seeing species that have potentially never seen a human before, and you are going to parts of mountains where humans do not tread. In most places where I've been, even Mongolia or West Africa, you're not surprised to find a cigarette butt on the ground. You think you're out in the middle of nowhere, and then you look down and like, okay, yeah, it feels like I'm in the middle of nowhere, but I find a cigarette butt. In Sumatra, that's not happening. You are truly in a place where no one has been before. So I think it's that inaccessibility that leads to more of a scientific credence for, yes, there are unknown animals here, and I think it's a much easier sell, I guess, in my mind. Um, I think that when you're talking about the Yaren, or I'm sorry, the Yowie in Australia, that's a really interesting one because those stories likely came over with the Aboriginal people, who came, who, you know, there's some really fascinating genetic research into the Aborigines in Australia and the linkages with Native Americans from potentially North America as well as from Indonesia. And the stories of the Yowie likely came from them. And I have not seen as much hard evidence for that in Australia, but I would love to get there and investigate myself.
So sticking with North America, then you have traveled across North America from Canada, the west coast of Canada, right through the United States.
Oh yeah.
What do you think is missing with what we're doing compared to, say, what the people of Sumatra are doing with Orang Pendek?
So I think that you're in the right spot for it. I think that if we are going to find any evidence of a Bigfoot, Sasquatch, I think that you are in the right area. I believe that the Pacific Northwest is our best bet for that. And I think that the more that we can get out there with trail cams, the more that we can get people who are, and I know how hard it is to get a shot off with your camera, you know, to really be able to get that camera up, zoomed in and focused and capture something is not very easy. So I do think trail cams are probably our best bet. But if we've got an animal that's not using trails, and if we have an animal that is as intelligent as, you know, many people that I really respect tell me that Sasquatches are, then I think it's going to be it. Well, we know that it is an extreme challenge, but I think that that's like the other thing, new technology that we have that we didn't have when I was out there is eDNA. I would really love to see a lot more work done with environmental DNA. And I think that we will definitely find new species. And I think that that will be able to answer the question scientifically for Sasquatch.
2 minutes to go. Well, about about 90 seconds to go. Pardon me. How do we find Bigfoot now?
Yeah,
Because there is so many fake and CGI videos out there right now. How do we do it now?
eDNA. eDNA is absolutely my answer. I believe that, you know, environmental DNA is available now and reasonably inexpensive for a lot of expeditions, and I think that that is the tool that we use. We go out to every stream that we can and collect water. We swab all of the trees. We swab all the areas where things are, where these creatures are sighted. We go to the area that you are describing and get as many swabs of as many things as we can. And we truly get a database going of eDNA. You know, we don't come back with the classic unknown human-like, but we start comparing those. We get enough of those samples to build this up, and that would be enough.
I wonder about that because I think a lot of the problem is there's a lot of evidence out there, but people who are looking for it don't have the money to send it to a university or to a laboratory to say, hey, is this Sasquatch hair? Is this dogman feces? You know, I mean, there's a lot of issues when it comes to the financial burden of what we do. And it's not just traveling to the location and wondering what kind of sandwich ham to make or to bring with you. I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We're going to go to break here in about 20 seconds. We have until the top of the hour, Pat Spain. PatSpain.com is his website. You want to check it on out. This man is a legend hunter. He's been on Travel Channel, numerous documentaries and TV shows exploring the myths and the legends of this beautiful planet we call Earth. This is Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back. listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. My dad went out for beers with his buddy tonight. Now I think he's drunk texting in the chat room.
Nice.
Good on you, Pop. Good on you. He's single again. So ladies, careful. My dad has an incredible mustache and he's single. Be careful.
Excellent.
Yeah. All of a sudden, like this past week, my dad has decided to come into the chat room every night.
That's
Like, what are
great.
you doing, Dad? Like, what are you doing? Like, leave me alone. I don't mean that. My dad is awesome.
That is excellent.
You know, here's a funny story about my dad. Hi, Ross Smith. How you doing? And I'm sorry, I don't understand the language of your name on LinkedIn, but hello and welcome to our show. So a number of years ago in 2013, when I had my first Bigfoot encounter, I called up my dad that night. I'm like, Dad, you're not going to believe what happened to me. And my dad's a big, tough Alberta farmer boy. And I said, he goes, what happened? I said, I saw 2 Sasquatch today. And he goes, no, you didn't. I said, yes, I did. No, you didn't. And I said, Dad, why the hell would I call you? Because we talk hockey language to each other, so it's usually pretty colorful. So, Dad, why the hell would I call you and tell you that I saw it if I didn't? I don't believe in that stuff. I said, I don't care if you believe it or not. That's what I saw. And it pissed me off, and I actually hung up on him. You know, and he called me back, and he's like, did you really? You know, because he knew that he hurt my feelings a little bit. And I said, yeah. And I said, I know you're not interested, blah, 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 conversation. You know, never hurt our relationship or anything like that over Bigfoot. But it's funny because since my mom passed away, and my parents were blessedly married for 53 years. We lost my mom 2 years ago.
Sorry.
My dad has all of a sudden started asking questions, especially this year, about a lot of things. Because all of a sudden he's seeing on the news the UFO talk, and you know, he's kind of been asking me, and after 10 years of doing this show, kind of all of a sudden asking me all these really cool questions, you know. And I took him out to a few weeks ago to Flight 21. Tim and I took him out there, a research buddy and I. And going out there, he's like, you know, I just want to see something. I don't care what it is. I just want to see something. And we're there probably an hour and a half or so. And Tim's walking through this trail, and right in the moss, he sees about a 15-inch print. So my dad, who suffers from COPD, so he can't do a lot of walking. We bring my dad over there and show him the footprint, and he was just amazed.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely amazed. He's like, what made that? I said, Dad. He goes, that's huge. And I'm like, Dad, that's a Sasquatch print. So he got to go home and tell all his buddies that he saw a Sasquatch print. He forgot to take a picture, but I took pictures, and I got to, you know, do that. So it's really kind of cool that, you know, my dad is 76, and watching him all of a sudden, you know, try and open up his very 5 senses mind to what we are talking about and what I do on a nightly basis. And it's weird how he's gone from just shaking his head, my son's an idiot, to going, you know, hey, maybe there is something to this, and I got to open my mind a little bit and see what else is out there and just let the experience happen. So I'm really proud of him for that.
That is excellent.
Yeah. I can't wait to take him out again, because
oh yeah. Yeah. And just that reaction of being confronted by something that you didn't think was possible, and then seeing the evidence right in front of you. There's just nothing better than that. That's
yeah. I would like to get him, like, I wish our area, like the area where we investigate, the ground is very hard. So when you get a footprint, you might, you know, to use metric terms, you might get a millimeter of an edge, like nothing you could cast.
Yeah.
Okay, I would love to show him like just a beautiful giant print, but our area, we just don't get those.
Yeah.
I do have we're going to get some audience questions when we come back. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, T-Bone, Peruta, Cat Chaser, and Kitty Caddywhack for the super chats. We're going to try and fit in some questions from our audience here in the next half hour. Here we go, everybody. Here comes the second half of Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Good to have you with us as we continue our great conversation with Pat Spain, and it will continue momentarily. But first, I want to tell all of you, our archives are always free. You can catch them on YouTube or any major podcast network. The only thing I want in return is hit subscribe, hit the follow button. I think it's a fair trade. I really do. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. We got Pat Spain here. PatSpain.com is his website. We're going to get some audience questions in just a little bit here. And Pat, I want to ask you a question here because this will lead into where I investigate out in the Caribou region of where I live. What's the weirdest footprint you've ever seen?
So actually, when I was in Wisconsin, strangely, there was a farm there where we were talking about the Beast of Bray Road. And the gentleman that owned this farm had I didn't get to see the footprint in person, but I saw the photos that he had, and there was a couple where you could tell that it was oversteps, where it was one animal and then another animal that had stepped over it. But there was one that I absolutely could not identify as any known animal or any combination of known animals. And I don't think that this guy planted it. I think that it was just something really, really strange. And to this day, I've never come up with a really great answer for what it could have been. He believed that it was aliens. I can't say that with any type of certainty, but it was the only footprint that I've seen, this photo, that I was not able to give any type of reasonable explanation for.
We have found these two really strange prints. We have only seen two of them, and they were about 90 yards apart. If you took a footprint of a duck and you expanded it to about the size of a baseball glove.
That's pretty wild.
Like an open baseball glove, not a closed baseball glove, an open baseball glove.
Yeah.
And
that's a real big duck.
It had these weird little heels on it at the bottom of it. I don't know what the hell that is. Neither does Tim. We found one way in the trees, and then 90 yards below it, another one right on a path. It was absolutely weird. I don't know if you've ever heard of something like that or what have you. I don't have pictures of it. I know we do have them on camera during our Flight 21 filming, Secrets of the Forest on our YouTube channel. Minor, advertisement there.
Was it in the snow or the mud or?
No, it was, one was, it kind of moved the moss that was on the ground into the dirt. And the other one was just on a beaten path that ATVs use.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of really expanded prints in snow where, like as the snow melts, it kind of expands out. And I've seen the same thing happen with mud, but I wouldn't, there's no animal that comes to mind for me with that one.
Yeah, please, let's not talk snow yet.
Oh no, God,
it's
no,
getting really, really close here.
Yeah, I like it the hottest and most humid that it can possibly be. I like tropical heat. I feel like in New England, where I live, we are only allowed to complain about one type of weather, and I have chosen mine as snow. So I will not complain about anything else, and I will appreciate all of the other types of weather that we get here.
Well, I could tell you this, my man. We've only seen those two prints. Don't know what it is. I told a friend of mine in the community, a good friend of mine, and she actually said that there was she had heard or seen an article about people in the past in our area seeing these giant duck prints.
Hmm.
What that is, I don't know. I don't hunt ducks, so I think I'm in good karma that way. There was no claw marks in it either. It was just like the flat width of the print.
Oh,
It
that's
was weird.
interesting. Yeah, no, I have no idea. That is very strange.
And definitely somebody's not going to be wearing flippers up there.
Right. No. And not jumping 90 feet either.
No, 90 yards apart.
90 yards. 90 yards. Oh man.
Yeah.
Even more. Yeah. No, that's pretty wild.
Before I get to audience questions, how do you explain the footprint phenomena where you can have one print right in the middle of the ground, looks absolutely amazing, and then there's not any other prints, or there's another print 50, 60 feet down the path? How do you explain that?
Yeah, so I mean, we've seen this with known animals and with people that we're tracking. People who are trackers have seen this, and there's a lot of different reasons for that. There's everything from just the composition of the soil, even if it feels the exact same to us. There might be some, slight variations in the soil. There's different variations in gait. There's climate conditions where, the wind has come through and moved this one particular spot, or, this large swath, but left this one. We even see this with fossils. We'll find, one fossilized dinosaur print, and that's it. Nothing else around it. And what can account for just this one staying around and none of the other ones? Or you'll find one and then another one 50 yards beyond. It's rare to find that, what everyone wants to find with prints is the trail. You want one after the other. You want to be able to see it. You want to be able to measure gait. But that's really unusual to find that. So I think we're more likely than not to just find that lone print.
That is strange to me. I never would have thought about it that way, because I know people who have seen prints in the snow.
Sure.
I had a gentleman approach me about 2 years ago. Literally, I have a daytime job as well. Literally walked in to my daytime job office. I happened to be in the hallway at the time, and he's like, "Hey, Dave, are you the guy who looks for Bigfoot?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Let me ask you something." And he found a row of about 10, 12 tracks in the snow, and he was walking his dog. It was probably about minus 20 outside, which is perfect walking temperature for your dog at that up here. At least. So when it gets minus 30 to minus 40 degrees Celsius, then it gets a little cold, right? And so he's walking his dog, and all of a sudden on the side of the road, in the right on the ledge where the snow is, he sees about 12 tracks. Now, I do understand with what you were saying that, you could have a moose print, and by the time the snow starts to compact and melt, it looks like a Sasquatch print.
Sure.
I get that, and I can greatly appreciate what you're saying on that. But at minus 20, the snow isn't melting.
Oh, no,
And
definitely not.
The problem with these track lines was there was no start and no finish. They just showed up. The first one showed up. The 12th or 10th or 12th one was there. There was no exit onto the road. There was no exit into the farmland that would have been on the other side of the snowbank. There was no exit whatsoever. How do we explain something like that in, say, a condition of snow rather than dirt or gravel?
Yeah, I think there's just something that we're missing. I mean, I know it's not a very satisfying answer, but I think that there's something that we're missing. I think that there is an exit into that farmland, or there is an exit into the road that we're not seeing, or it looks more like a drag, or there's there was some kind of jump that moved them over there, something that made them jump to one of those sides. Yeah, I tend to stick in the very physical world of, it's not, there isn't just a starting and then a disappearing of somewhere. I can't completely rule it out. I can't say that it's absolutely impossible, but I believe that there are more grounded explanations for most of these, most phenomena that we see.
See, that's what I like about your type of science. You are looking for the logical, okay? And you're looking for anything that is going to prove the logic of it. But you're not ready to rule out the supernatural potential or aspect of that, because you said something very important that the cryptid world and the UFO world especially forget about, and that is we don't know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gravity at one time was not accepted. This was considered a heretical idea. There's a lot in science that we don't know, and that, you know, I do think that we do a disservice by just writing something off because it sounds absurd. And that was Fort's. That was Charles Fort's whole thing. Is that you know, we're just gonna question this. We're not going to immediately write something off. We're not going to immediately dismiss something. Everything should be, you know, looked at and investigated, and let's see where the grain of truth is, or let's see where this leads us, and, you know, let's move something from the paranormal to the normal, because a lot of occurrences, you know, ball lightning. Think about that. Like, most people thought that this, you know, was a ghost story. This was something paranormal. Now we know that this is a natural phenomena. That's something that does happen. It's very unusual, super weird, but it does happen. And we can come up with a physical explanation for it. And I do believe that about, you know, every other phenomena that we experience, that there is a logical explanation for them.
Let's get to some audience questions here. Let's start off with Seymour here. What's the difference between a cryptid and an undocumented species?
Nothing. Nothing. Oh, and I love the name, by the way, Seymour Glass. Oh man, very near and dear to my heart. Salinger is my favorite author, and Seymour is my favorite character. My daughter's middle name is Caulfield, after Holden Caulfield. So Seymour Glass, excellent. Really, yeah, just my favorite books. So yeah, there's no difference between a cryptid and an undocumented species. That's really, when we say cryptid, most people think of, you know, kind of the big sexy animals. You think of the really big, crazy, wild things that that are going to get, you know, front page news. But genuinely, anytime that you talk about a species that we don't have a scientific holotype, we haven't found that, you know, perfect, this is the one species, that this is the one example of this species that we can point to, then it's a cryptid. Or then it's an undocumented. Yeah, they're the same thing. We have examples of this with birds, with primates. You know, they just found a new species of skull-faced macaque, where if you spoke with the locals who lived there, the indigenous people of the area, they could have told you everything about it. They told you its eating habits, they told you its migratory patterns, where it, you know, where it sleeps, everything else. But because it didn't have a Latin name, and we didn't have that one, you know, that example of this this species, then it was a cryptid. And then when we found it, it became, you know, a species, which is a little bit, you know, there's a little bit of bias there that is kind of uncomfortable for our community to go with. But yeah, I mean, we should believe indigenous people when they're telling us this stuff. So very long answer to a short question.
I think it was a good answer, though, because I do want to follow up with that, because many scientists, anthropologists, and others believe that we've already discovered every potential bigger species in North America.
Absolutely,
you know,
not.
and that's why they don't accept Bigfoot or Sasquatch as a legitimate creature that could be out there.
Oh no, we're finding new species all the time. And I mean, big, yeah, I think it's a little bit of a tougher, it's a kind of higher bar for us to find large species in North America, but I have no doubt that we will, and that we are. They're still finding new species of turtle. One of the largest species of turtles in Vietnam was found in Saigon. in a hugely populated area like less than 20 years ago. There's only been like a dozen or less sightings of the megamouth shark, which is a massive animal. So there's a lot of large species that are left to be found for sure.
Let's go to Carrie. Have you ever come across a Warrock I don't even know how to pronounce that.
I have not. I'm not familiar with that one. No, is that which
I'm gonna Google it. One
continent or
second.
region? Yeah,
I'm gonna go do my Google research here.
that was one of the problems actually with the Mokele Mbembe investigation, is that there were so many different names for Mokele Mbembe that every time that we'd talk to an eyewitness, it would be 20 minutes of a conversation about the name. And is that the one that looks like a crocodile? No, that's this. And is that the one that looks like a pterodactyl? No.
So apparently it is a mythical creature and a cultural symbol of Semarang, Indonesia. It represents the harmony of the city's diverse ethnic groups, Javanese, Chinese, and Arab, traditionally appearing in the annual Dugdaran festival, a pre-Ramadan celebration. Warak in Jen Dog, I apologize for butchering that, is depicted as a rhinoceros-like creature, or rhinoceros, pardon me. We'll learn how to read, Dave. A rhinoceros-like creature with a goat's head, symbolizing the Javanese people.
Oh, I mean, the Java rhino is absolutely gorgeous and such a weird looking animal, such a cool and really, really unique kind of creature. So yeah, I mean, I would see that as kind of I'm not familiar with it. First, I will absolutely say that. But I mean, I could see that as being an amalgamation of the Sumatran rhino, the Java rhino, and potentially a few other of the kind of more unusual and less seen animals in the area.
Let's go to Jaquetta. Have you ever encountered? Please give me a word.
In Hawaii. So my in-laws actually lived in Hawaii for a while. And they had some really great stories and some of the legends around there. I unfortunately have not been myself, which is crazy to me. It's one of those spots that keeps on getting pushed back, but I do need to get there at some point. So I haven't personally investigated, but I have heard some of the stories, and I believe that these are again like the kind of small. I could be very wrong on this, but I believe that they are the small kind of mischievous creature type.
All right, let's continue here. Let's go to T-Bone. Do the indigenous over there have any UFO or alien tales?
Oh, for sure. Yes, absolutely. So in a lot of the different regions that we were, people would talk about seeing lights. A lot of times it's lights from space. There was not as much about aliens, about actually anything being on the ground, but there was about seeing things in the sky and seeing lights. And they were definitely not describing planes or meteors or any astrological events that we're aware of. But yes, people would describe and you can see the sky so much better in these places without light pollution. So I have no doubt that they are seeing things that we are missing here in any regions that are close to cities.
Final question from our audience tonight. Blue Cruz is asking, was there an incident a few years back where an Orang Pendek entered a tent of a wildlife biologist to steal a container of sugar?
Yeah, so there was, but I was intrigued by it. So while I was in Sumatra, I was able to interview a farmer whose name was Pak, P-A-K. And he had a story of an Orang Pendek breaking into his hut, which was his farming hut. It was kind of on the far, far, far outside of the city. And an Orang Pendek broke in and stole sugar. And he gave a very, very descriptive account of this. And what really was fascinating about the account to me is, I will be very PG in this, but he was able to describe the animal's genitalia in a high level of detail, and that lended a lot of credence to the story. Oftentimes, when you ask questions about that, you get a lot of blushes and a lot of like, "Oh, I don't know, I did," but he kind of lit up when I asked him that question, and his wife started hitting him like, so he had clearly mentioned this before, but he was very descriptive in the way that he was talking about the animal's genitals. And after this story was published from POC, another like almost identical stories, but leaving out some of the details, was published by another farmer from a few miles away. And that was one where I found out that that farmer was paid for his story. And then shortly after that, there was another one who had supposedly seen the Orang Pendek. And again, the details get a little bit less and less and less each time. So now the kind of story of the Orang Pendek breaking in and stealing some sugars, I do believe that originated with the gentleman that I was able to meet with. And it's since been kind of repeated in a few different contexts.
3.5 minutes to go before we have to say goodnight to this portion of the show. What do you want people to know about the creatures that are out there that are undiscovered?
That there are undiscovered creatures out there, that there absolutely are, and that getting out into nature is always its own reward. So, and it's a way to get, especially kids, to get really excited about this. Like, my daughter is the unusual child in that she loves going to find nudibranchs with me, but my son gets a lot more excited about Bigfoot. So if I tell my son that we're going to go on a Bigfoot expedition, he's all pumped up and all excited. And when we go out there, maybe we'll see, a couple different species of owls. Maybe we'll see some blue herons if we're near any of the waterways. Maybe we'll find yellow spotted salamanders or a giant snapping turtle. We probably aren't going to find Bigfoot, but we're going to have a great time out there, and it's going to give him a love of nature, and that's what we can continue to do. So there's always a good excuse to get out in nature and to go try to experience these things, and you do have a chance of seeing something that people have not seen before.
That is very, very interesting. Where's your next adventure to?
So I'm actually working with a couple of different production companies right now that I am very hopeful will come through. I can't say all of the details about where we would be, but if either one of them happens, they would be globe spanning and getting me to some areas that I've been to before and some that are really, really have been on the top of my list for a while.
Like British Columbia?
I would love to get back there. I mean, British Columbia is just far and away one of the most beautiful places that I've ever been. The editor of my books actually made a trip to British Columbia after reading my description of it, because he's like, that I have to go there on vacation now, and he was not disappointed.
Yeah, it's a nice place. Once you get out of the mainstream area where you land and you get through, like Vancouver's great to look at, with the mountains in behind it. It's pretty majestic. But once you get into the mountains, that's where it gets fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And Nanaimo is gorgeous. And yeah.
That's where I started my radio career, just up the road from Nanaimo.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. CKCI 1350 AM.
Yeah. Very good.
I don't even know if the station exists anymore, but it's there. Tell everybody where they can find your website and where they can find your work.
So www.patspain.com, and you can find my books hopefully in a few different bookstores, but definitely on Amazon. And and then I'm on Instagram. I'm on that's really the main social media that I do. I'm trying to get onto TikTok, but haven't really broken through that. I posted 2 videos today for the first time, actually, on that.
Good for you. Pat, you are a gem to this community. Absolute gem. And thank you for your hard work. And more importantly, your love and passion for these great subjects from an open-minded scientific view. PatSpain.com is his website. Coming up next, we have Swamp Dweller. Then right after that, extra small Lee Strauss will be in for the Cryptid Q&A. Get your questions ready.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. Pat, I'll leave it up to you. If you want to stick around and learn a little bit about Flight 21 from Lee and I, you're more than welcome. But if
I
you
would
want to
love
get off to
to.
bed, that's
2
fine.
a.m. I think I've got to bail. We're going apple picking in about 3 hours.
I got to be up in 6 hours for hockey practice or for my son's hockey in the morning. Yeah,
I
love
hear
it.
you, man.
Love it. Brother, thank you. Appreciate you.
I really appreciate this. This was great.
We'll do this soon, okay?
That sounds excellent. Thank
All
you.
right, Pat. Take care.
Speak soon. Bye.
Pat Spain, everybody. Extra Small is warming up. He is stretching as we speak, and I'll be right back. right, let's bring in extra small. There we go.
Hey, man.
It'd be better if I had the mic over here.
That would work.
Yeah.
We got about a minute to go here. Thank you, CS, Gary, T-Bone, Kitty, Cat, and Peruta for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate your love and support. And let's see. Yes. Look at the extra small there.
Here I am.
My nose has been running all day, man. Hold on. Swamp Dweller's a little bit of a long one. It's 8 minutes, but we'll get to it. Get you here in a minute. Okay, Lee? Here we go.
No worries.
Hello and welcome to hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Great to have you with us as we prepare for the Cryptid Q&A with Lee Strauss and Swamp Dweller coming up first. But hey, I want to say hello to everyone tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Euloginus is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. In 2009, I was interested in the paranormal, since I had many paranormal experiences growing up. I found a website that held ghost tours at the old Southwestern General Hospital. I was excited and ready to go on a ghost hunt. The group that held the ghost tour was named Ghost, or Ghost Hunters of South Texas. The group was professional, and they used many of the items that paranormal researchers used at the time. Before the tour, they showed us proof that they have captured in previous investigations while investigating the property. EVPs included a little boy saying, "Play with me, please," and a woman with a southern accent responding to questions. The woman is said to be in an old-time dress, and sometimes old-time nurse attire. After the tour, the group said they were having openings for new members, and the new members would be tested and would be considered in maybe being part of the new team. I was quick to join and try out. I made the team. The team would have private group ghost hunts, so we would have the building to ourselves. The third floor was used as a hospice type of area. The building has 4 floors. The first, second, and fourth floor were left abandoned, and they looked like a scene out of a horror movie. Hospital beds lay in rooms dusty and unused. Many had dates from 1995 and before. I even found a death log that had many names and dates. The most active areas were the 4th and 2nd floor. The 4th floor had a baby nursery and many rooms that were once used for families that would be welcoming new babies. One EVP that was caught in that area was one of crying babies. At the time the EVP was caught, there were no babies in the building, and it was after midnight sometime when it was caught. Also on the 4th floor, there was a long hallway with empty patient rooms. In that hallway, shadows were always seen running or moving. The 2nd floor was an old area. Also, many shadow figures were seen in this area. When doing research on the deaths in the building, I came up with what looked like to be a nurse who was crushed to death when a malfunction with the elevator happened years ago. During the time I was a part of this group, we investigated this building tons of times. I might even care to say maybe over 100. I also led ghost tours in the building with other members. I witnessed shadows, disembodied voices, screams, and one time heard a female humming a song only to find the room empty and dark. I've seen videos of doors opening on their own with no wind or people in the building. Also, the third floor had employees that would see things and hear things very often. Patients also complained of a kid running in their room or a man standing over their bed just looking at them, only to disappear. Over the years, I gained experience and loved what I did. As a group, we investigated many places such as schools, homes, and cemeteries in El Paso. We also got to investigate the old Asarco smelter before it was demolished several years later. I got to ghost hunt with people from Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International. I met many celebrities and the group had them take their own personal ghost tours. It was fun and I grew a thick skin for fearing anything that goes bump in the dark. One of my favorite places to investigate was Southwestern General Hospital. I never believed in being followed home. One night after investigating, I was at my apartment eating on my couch and watching TV. I had my hallway light on near the front door that was visible from where I was sitting. Suddenly, from the corner of my eye, I saw a shadow of a person on the wall near the door. I turned and saw the shadow in full form. It was about 6 foot tall and completely black. Then, not even a second later, the shadow moved as if it was running down my hallway to my bedroom. I froze in horror, thinking somebody was in my apartment. I got up and walked to my bedroom. Nobody was there. I searched the whole house up and down, and then I thought to myself, maybe I'm just going crazy. I soon went to bed a few minutes later. It was probably about 3:20 a.m. when I felt my bed shaking. I woke up to my sheets being pulled off me very slowly and deliberately. I tried to move, but I just could not. My sheets slid very slowly off me towards the floor. I could not move, and I started to hear growling in my right ear. From the corner of my eye, I could see something moving near my head on the right of me. It was on my pillow. I could only see it from the peripheral vision that it had hair. It was hairy and brown. If I could compare it to something, I would say Chewbacca from Star Wars type hair. It was moving, very slowly, but obviously very deliberately. It was growling as well. My eyes started to water up with tears. I tried to move my arm, but I just couldn't. I could only move my fingers. The blanket was still being pulled off me little by little until it hit the floor and I was no longer covered by my sheet. I felt the hairy thing moving right next to me, and the growling grew louder. Then suddenly, I was able to sit up and I turned and looked to see what was there next to me. The hairy thing was gone, but I could see the imprint of where it had sat right next to me just a moment ago. It was the size of a full-grown cat. Then I looked around the room to gather my sanity. I don't own a cat. My sheet was on the floor, and my eyes were still watery. I asked myself, maybe it was just sleep paralysis. I found it hard to sleep that night, since I lived alone in that apartment. The next day I had a girl over to my apartment. I was seeing her from school. I was playing PlayStation and she asked if she could take a nap in my bed. I said of course. She went to my bed and fell asleep. Around 20 minutes later, she suddenly came back to my living room in tears. She said, I have to leave now. I asked her what was happening and what was wrong. What she said shocked me. She said that something shook the bed and woke her up. She could not move, and then something was growling and started getting close to her ear. Then the bed went down as if somebody lied down next to her. She tried to scream for me and could not. Then she felt as if somebody was breathing on her neck as the growling grew louder. She said it lasted about 2 minutes, and then she was finally able to move. Once she was able to move, she ran to me in the living room. After she explained this, I grabbed her stuff and helped her leave. I did not tell her what happened to me the night before, but I had that same exact experience. And what happened to her was enough proof that something was not right. I could not explain what was happening. First thing that came to mind that something probably followed me home from the hospital. After a few days, all the activity suddenly stopped. Only when I would go in on investigations, I would see shadows in my apartment, and then they would just go away. I loved what I did, and the only time I feared the paranormal was this moment. I no longer ghost hunt, and the group no longer gets together. Southwest General Hospital was purchased and is now remodeled and is in use. I can only imagine what the employees of the LTAC go through by being in that building. Every now and then I drive down Cotton and pass the building. I miss the days of being part of Ghost El Paso. If you are ever in El Paso after stopping by at Chico's Tacos, be sure to pass by the old building by the Star on the Mountain, formerly known as Southwest General Hospital.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. He's got thousands of stories for you just like that. It's time for Lee. I think I'm going to make you a new theme song.
Oh, yeah, I could pass on one to you.
No, I'll make one for you.
Okay.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be very fun. Yeah,
like
the beauty of AI, man. The beauty of AI.
Pee-wee's Big Top theme music or something.
Maybe. You never know. You never know. How you been doing?
I'm good. Yeah. Nothing big, new, and exciting just quite yet, but we're working on that.
That's good. Up here, it's getting cold.
I know, man.
It's getting cold real quickly. And I got to tell you, areas southwest of me had snow already.
Really?
So now we have to watch because now the countdown is on at Flight 21.
Yeah.
To see if we're going to be able to get there anytime soon. Because it will shut down and then we'll have to break. So I just hope, I know Tim has not been feeling well recently and everything. And that's why he couldn't be on your show, Element 115, on our YouTube channel. And so I think that, hopefully he's healthy enough where we can get him out there and get him back going, because it's been a couple of weeks since we've been able to go.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. You should get at least one more trip in before the end of the season.
Well, there's a number of different snowfalls that happen. So probably from November until April, we will not be able to get there. End of November to April. Before that and after that, we may have to battle some elements, but we can get there.
There you go.
That's the main thing. There's a lot of interesting stories coming out right now about, whether it's the UFO world or anything like that. I don't know if you saw this one. I wanted to get your opinion. I was chatting with Matt Laszlo on X today from Askapol, where he basically went up to Representative Eric Burleson, who is supposed to be one of the main players in the whole UFO Congress story. And he was asking him about the Hellfire missile video that bounced off an object. And Burleson pretty much said he knew nothing about the video. Knew nothing about it. This is a congressman who has literally sat in on the UFO UAP hearings. He's been extremely public about the fact that Washington needs to spend more time looking into this. We need to be studying the budget. We need to be studying absolutely everything that goes along with it. And yet everybody's blowing up about this video, and said congressman knows nothing about it, Lee. What's your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts there is he probably does. He just doesn't have the answers. He doesn't have answers. What happened in that video? I mean, it was a very interesting situation where you had the Hellfire missile and the object, and objects going through the screen, and then a 90-degree angle. Here comes a Hellfire missile, and then looks like it connects with the UFO, and then keeps going. And then the UFO is sitting there wobbling around, and looks like it may have regained itself, its composure, and kept going. So, he doesn't have an answer, so he doesn't want to indulge anybody with that talk, or that, that's my guess.
I think it's a logical guess, but I think it really looks bad here. It really does. And I actually retweeted that earlier today. And this is kind of what I said. I retweeted Matt Laszlo's article from askapol.com, ASKAPOL.com. You want to check it on out. I said, if you really want to know how serious Congress really is about learning about UFOs, then just read the Askapol_UAP's tweet on Eric Burleson. The subject is going nowhere, people. Their own alleged supporters aren't paying attention to what's going on. And that's where Matt really, jumped on board that and started a little bit of a conversation, which is very, very cool. I'd love to get him on the show. I got to get in contact with him here, to see if he would be able to do that. Mm-hmm. But I'm just curious, though. I mean, is this all a game? Is this all a charade to get on television, or to give Congress people who would normally be, to use a Canadian political term, backbenchers, in order to give them something to do that's unique?
We've heard it before many times. It's the dog and pony show, right? But the thing is we are getting good information from all the whistleblowers, even though it seems at times that Congress wants to sweep things under the rug for one reason or another. And we just, there seems to me like there's an overarching group of individuals that are telling people to be quiet, right? Well, we can surmise that, but are they able to basically lord over our Congress people and say, listen, you will not talk about this stuff, or you will not take it to the 10th degree or the nth degree to where you're coming clean about what you know? I mean, we don't know what that entity is back there that's telling people to not say anything, right? And it's obvious that certain things are okay to talk about, and there's certain things that they're not supposed to talk about, it seems to me. So sometimes, Dave, it seems like somebody hits a nerve and then something happens where they're told to shut up, and all of a sudden they clam up. Nope, I'm not talking about anything anymore. I'm done, basically. And they withdraw.
Well, it was also Eric Burleson who was pushing for the involvement of David Grush through this all. So it really doesn't make sense that if this guy is a player on what we are doing, how do you not see the video or know what it's about?
Yeah, my guess would be is that he doesn't want to talk about it for one reason or another. Either I wouldn't believe that he hasn't seen it. I think that maybe it's just he didn't want to talk about it at the time because maybe he hasn't put enough attention on it. And sometimes you have to watch things over and over and over before you get an idea in your head on what happened in that video. You know what I mean? I've had to do that with that same video where I've had to watch it over and over and over again to understand to my abilities what I'm seeing in that video.
I don't know what it is. My inclination is it is some sort of balloon, not a UFO. And that's only because I know people who I've talked to a couple people within the intelligence community on both sides of the border who have said balloon, complete balloon. That's my opinion of it. I'm not saying I'm not wrong. I'm not saying it isn't a UFO or whatever. Maybe it's, somebody throwing a shoe at someone and it got intercepted by a Hellfire missile. I don't know, and I say that facetiously, but I think the video aside, I look at the people involved and it just makes me wonder where this is all going. And it's not that I don't trust the whistleblowers. It's not that I don't trust, George Knapp or anybody like that. I think there is a good game being played here by the players on the field that are trying to do their best. People who are much more connected than you and I will ever be. That being said, the umpires in the game, which we could equate to Congress or the U.S. government or the Pentagon, they're wearing blindfolds on this. They really are. Now, I'm not saying all of them. Don't get me wrong. I think there is a lot of support in there. I mean, look at Schumer Rounds. They're going for it again in the defense budget this year. Now, maybe that the reason why they use it as a UAP act or whatever, UAP, obviously that means potentially more money for black budget project and research, just covered under the UAP topic. We don't know. But I think, it gets to me about this transparency thing, Lee, and you hit the nail on the head, that he may know about it, but just doesn't want to talk about it or has been told not to talk about it. And yet these are the same people who, if that is true, these are the same people who get on their pedestal to launch into tirades about transparency.
It's the pot calling the kettle black, man. That's what it is. I don't, there's not going to be an answer here. Okay. He may come back next time he's asked and talk about it after he's looked over the video several times for himself. But I think what upsets me with all this stuff is they're still calling it UAP. Very few people have actually called them UFOs while they're having these hearings. And I applaud the people that have.
But I loved it when Tim Burchett came out and said, can we get back to calling them UFOs, please?
Yep.
I loved it. I loved it. I was like, yes, let's get back on topic to what this is and not what it is not.
Exactly.
And, one of the things that the UFO world, speaking on that part, though, so we got about a minute to go before we go to break. And I've seen it in our chat room, people complaining about me, using the word it's UFO, not UAP, UAP being man-made objects. I've taken heat over that. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you do have to stand up for what you believe in on this topic. That being said, I think that we are starting to see more people go back to UFO. We really are. I think they are recognizing the fact that a lot of these so-called UAPs have been debunked as man-made objects. And now they're realizing what we've been saying for 5, 6, 7 years now. UAP are man-made objects. They're not UFOs.
Yeah. That's the way it is, too. It seems that way. And we got to change it up. They got to change it up.
Powerful statement from the extra small one. Right there. Lee, we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. He's one of the good guys in the field, and we're lucky to have him as part of the Spaced Out Radio team. Lee Strauss, Element 115. He'll be right back with us.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, thank you. T-Bone with a hat trick. He just scored his hat trick right there. Thank you, T-Bone. Love you, buddy. How did your show go?
My show was okay. The audio wasn't that great though, unfortunately. It wasn't my end.
Microphone? Your microphone or your guests?
My guest, yeah.
Oh, that's too bad. I've had that happen.
Yeah, it was rough.
By the way, really weird. When your girlfriend popped into the chat room, she said, "Hi, sweetheart." And I'm like, "Hi, sweetheart," back. Like, I don't know why your girlfriend's calling me sweetheart, buddy. I mean, I'm a little weirded out by that. I mean, I know I'm cute.
Well, you are. You're even cuter from the backside. People haven't seen that side of you, but I have.
That is the board, you know, you sicko. But, oh my God. Oh. So I had to say hi, sweetheart, back.
Yeah.
But, you know. Tammy's probably rolling her eyes at me right now. Who the fuck is this guy? Right?
She's gotten to know who you are.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'll do for Tammy? I just don't do this for anybody. I'll do this for Tammy tonight.
The hat tip.
Not everybody gets that, Tam. By the way,
yeah,
one of my friends in town, look at this hat she got me. She's like, I saw this and I had to get it to you. Like, look at this hat. I got to figure out where this hat came from because I'd love to add these to our store. Like, look at that.
Yeah, it's like Sasquatch is almost walking out of one dimension into our own or something.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this lady actually has a crush on you, eh?
Yeah, she does. She doesn't need to. We're together, so it's all good.
I'm just trying to figure out how that happened. You're like 4'2" with these giant steroid arms.
No, I don't have steroid arms, but
bad case of gout.
What are you talking about?
Huh? What? Who?
Gout? Huh?
I don't know.
No. So when are we doing the Spaced Out Radio party?
May 21st to 25th.
Oh, I got to put that on the calendar.
Write that down. Tammy, write it down for him. May 21st to 25th. In Las Vegas somewhere.
Yeah.
Don't know where yet. We just know we're not allowing Merle to choose the location.
Oh.
Merle's band.
All right.
See, look what she puts up about me. He's amazing, that Dave Scott. Love him.
Yeah, she's pretty special.
Oh, look at that. Her birthday is May 26th. Mine's May 24th. We're like 2 days apart, sister. We're going to celebrate our birthday together in Vegas.
Yep, that'll be.
And Lee can squeeze both of our bums at the same time.
Oof. That's a tall order, my friend.
It's a lot of ass on my part.
Don't I remember?
If you ever get the chance to hang out with Lee, you will notice that this type of conversation with him, these little like alpha dude jabs, they don't stop. It's amazing. It's awesome.
Well, we keep it kind of quiet for the radio.
Yeah, we
do. The show. Gotta tone it down a little bit.
All right. Big thank you tonight to T-Bone with a hat trick, Amy, CS, Gary, Kitty Cattywhack, the awesome cat chaser, and newcomer Peruta. Really appreciate the love and support tonight, guys. Thank you very, very much. Don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. And we are 5 seconds away from kicking off the final half hour. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio as we've rounded third and we're heading for home. My name is Dave Scott. We are talking the woo with the extra small one, Lee Strauss, coming on up here. Reminder to all of you before we get going, our archives are always free. So if you miss our archives, they're always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Final time tonight, we got extra small Lee Strauss. He is from our YouTube channel where he broadcasts a nice little show each and every Friday night before ours called Element 115. He hosts it with Tim James when Tim is feeling good because he's not feeling good. Not feeling good right now, but that's okay. Lee, thank you so much for being here.
I wouldn't be anywhere else, bud.
What if it was in Vegas with your girlfriend? Would you still do this show?
Maybe not. Not when Tammy's around. No, I'll probably have to put the show on the sideline.
That makes sense.
Yep. I wanted to chat about something really quick. I had something going on my mind most of the week, and I was thinking about it. Most of the time when I've gone out to do investigations,
yes,
either Mount Adams or Mount Baker or wherever it is, and I set up all my equipment, I hit record on my equipment, right? So I'm recording all the time. When I first started doing this stuff, 13, 14 years ago, my equipment would be all set up and I wouldn't turn on anything. I would just sit and wait. And then if the heebie-jeebies started getting a hold of me, I knew that to turn on my equipment because they were going to show up, right? So I told myself, I need to go back to that methodology and just wait for basically the tell to let me know to turn on my equipment. There has been so many times when I have so much footage recorded that it takes me forever to review it all. And it's gotten kind of ridiculous with the amount of equipment that I have. So I think next time I go out, I'm going to just do what I used to do and wait for the tell before I turn anything on.
Don't you find that you need to have after an investigation, have a mental break?
Yeah.
Because you have to kind of process everything that happened, didn't happen. What did you see? What did you not see? What was weird? What wasn't weird?
Yeah, it'll wear you out pretty good. And it does me. And it's not just the fact that I stay up till 3 a.m. It's the fact that you're being observant, of an area for that long of a time, maybe 6-7 hours of the day and into the night. And it's just a lot. It's a lot of concentration. But it's not just that. It's the fact that if something does show up, it is exciting. Sure, it is. But it's also very consuming. It consumes a lot of your energy.
Why do you think, for people who may not know or understand, that when you're out in the field investigating, whether it's paranormal, whether it's UFOs, whether it's cryptids, that there is something about being in those environments that seems to drain you energetically. Now, a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, if you're outdoors and you're in the forest, nature kind of takes the stress away from you, and therefore it makes you feel tired." Or if you're staring up at the sky, just enjoying a relaxing night, it's a relaxation that kind of makes you a little bit more tired. But it seems to be a little bit different when it comes to the paranormal, supernatural, that you almost get these hangovers that are really, pushing the threads. I know when I would do the museum and do the tour at the museum, and you were there, you understand what it's like there. Here we have, the next day, you almost feel like you drank a case of beer the night before. You feel hungover, you feel your body is sore, your neck is sore, your arms are sore, your shoulders are sore, your legs are tired, they don't want to move, you're tripping all over yourself at times, depending on how much you're affected by it. I mean, it really does feel like a hangover.
It does. And I think, when you're looking at or in a place where the paranormal's active like it is in that location, I think they draw on you and their energy that you have to siphon that off and use that for themselves in a way. Even maybe for manifestation, maybe for EVPs or whatever that is, right? Whatever they're using it for. But they're drawing it from you. You may not know it at the time, but like you said, you're going to feel it the next day. And it seems to be part of it. But even when you're doing like out in the woods looking for Sasquatch, that is extremely draining as well. Especially if you're setting up equipment and then you're got a heavy backpack on and you're trudging through the woods and you're looking at every little thing. I mean, you're super observant. You're much more than you would be normally because you're looking for identifying signs of Sasquatch in the area. And who knows, when you've opened yourself up like we have, like the people here that watch your show and other people that are interested in the paranormal, when you're out there investigating, you're opening yourself up to who knows what that'll draw, and they'll just draw from you because you're open in that state.
I would agree with you there. I would agree to that openness. And would you also say it's a heightened sense of your own abilities that tire you out? Because when you're put in that environment, ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, when you're put in that environment, you're opening up yourself to the phenomena, like you said. And I believe the phenomena drains that. I believe, and like I said, it doesn't have to be a ghost. There's not a little ghost sitting on your shoulder saying, "Okay, he's opening up, guys. Let's steal this energy. Let's steal all the juju he has for the night's efforts." It's not like that at all. But there seems to be this unmanned force that comes in and says, "Okay, this person is connected to us. We're connected to him. He's not going to be able to handle what we're getting into tonight. So let's make him feel hungover."
Yeah. I mean, just we're talking about when I was up there with you and Tim and Merle and that Flight 21. I mean, that place sucks it out of you. You can tell when you're there that you're getting drained.
You were sleepy there.
Oh boy. Yeah. And there's been plenty of times, Dave, where I've been out and investigating and felt like I just had to lay down. Right. And I don't know if there's something going on, some outside force that's affecting me or other people, but sometimes you feel like you just want to lay down and sleep, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Which reminds me, I want to quickly do this before we move on. Going to share something here. It's officially been announced that my area at the Heritage Site will be holding 2026 Caribou Con, September 18th through 20th. We're going to be talking about ghosts. We're going to be talking about UFOs, the stars, Sasquatch, Paranormal Weekend. Lee, you're going to be up here for that. And that's why I wanted to put it up, is because you are going to be here ready and willing to take people on a skywatch. You're going to be a part of the ghost hunting teams, taking people on tours and everything like that. How exciting is that, man?
It's super exciting. Whenever we can get a group of people that have, abilities in all these different modalities, I guess, you're talking about Bigfoot, you're talking about UFOs and aliens and the paranormal. We can learn from each other. It's, how much did I learn from Merle when I was up there? Holy cow. It's just an opportunity you don't want to miss. That's for darn sure. Because, like I said, because of the things that you can learn from everybody.
Now, I know the group putting this together is going to be putting tickets up for sale here probably within the next month. They'll have their website up and everything. I'm helping book the guests for this event. I know Lee is going to be there. Merle is going to be there from the Paranormal Road Trippers. And I believe Samantha Mowat is going to come up. Brett Thomas is going to come up. We're going to try and get Grant Cameron up here and a few other people from British Columbia and Washington State coming up to take part in this wonderful event. And it is open to the public September 18th to 20th, 2026 at the 108 Mile Heritage Site. And you're going to be able to hang on out with us. So we definitely want to see all the Spaced Out Radio listeners. If you're looking for a great weekend to get away next year, looking for a little bit of a road trip, because it is a road trip, Lee. It is a road trip.
And a beautiful one at that, my friend.
Beautiful one at that we are going to be putting this together and making sure that all of you guys are out there. You guys have asked for it. Dave, when are you going to put an event on in your area? When can we see the heritage site? When can we go out, look for Bigfoot or look for UFOs in your area? Well, I'm telling you to put your money where your mouth is. That's what I'm doing. You wanted it. I'm helping create it. And we're going to have a good time. And you're going to see a lot of Spaced Out Radio people there that you were familiar with. I'm going to try and get our Keith Andrews up here too.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Yeah, I think our Keith needs to be on that list. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with that. That would be fantastic.
I'd like to see him channel some of these ghosts and aliens around us, man.
That would be pretty intense, especially, if we have our sky watching equipment all set up, looking at the sky, and then he starts bringing something in. That would be fantastic. I would be in awe.
And I may go one step further with this, Lee. I may go one step further. For every Spaced Out Radio listener that shows up, we may have a private get together, just the Spaced Out Radio people. We may do that.
That sounds like a really cool idea.
Yeah. We'll find a place to hang out, and we'll just go hang out for a little bit. But yes, extra small Lee Strauss will be at the Caribou Con 2026, September 18th through 20th. How exciting is that, Lee? I wanted to show you that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome that you've already made that up, or somebody has made it up anyway, but that's great. You know what I'd really like to do, Dave, is I want to come up and I want to spend the night up there at Flight 21.
We can do that.
Yeah.
I don't know why you want to give yourself a death wish like that, but we can do that. You know what? Hold on a second here. I'm calling you out on something here. Because when you were up there and the weirdness started and the close encounters started, you actually stated there was no way you would spend the night up here.
By myself. I prefaced that with by myself.
I'm not cuddling you up there, buddy. I'm not. I tell you what, I know Tim James has stated he will bring his trailer up to as close as we could get it. I would stay in that trailer, not a problem. But staying up there again overnight with the activity that Tim and I have created now, not a hope. I don't need Bigfoot tickling my feet in the middle of the night.
You don't need to stay right where we were. You can go out to that more main road that, you know, we were talking about, setting the trailer up and camp there.
I would do that.
There's nothing wrong with that. And
I have a feeling about that, though. And I said this to Tim, with the communication and connection, because where the camping spot is up there is approximately 4 kilometers, or about 2.6 miles from the Flight 21 location as the bird flies, as the crow flies. And I think that if we stir it up there one night in a good way, peaceful way, I think they'll follow us to the campsite. I really do.
Even better. They're going to hear us talking and carrying on and having a good time.
Yeah, I do too. Quick question from Poncho here. Trying to find on Caribou Con, nothing coming up. The website is being built right now, and tickets are not on sale yet. We will announce when it's happening. We just, the group that's putting it together has set the date on it, and I've been asked to help bring in the guests, which I'm going to. Of course, I'm going to bring in the really good people, really, really good speakers. There's a couple I need to talk to yet. And then once we get that, we will start having an announcement for everybody to come on up and make things happen for the Caribou Con 2026, September 18th to 20th. It'll be good.
I think it'll be a fantastic thing. So you're actually, do you have a hall at the heritage site where you can seat everybody? Or
so this is where it gets a little cool, is our community has a big hall. I showed you the hall when you were there, when you were up here.
I'm just trying to remember.
Yeah, I'll tell you later where it is.
Yeah.
Okay, but we're going to hold the event at the hall, the speaking event, and then after the speaking event, then we're all going to congregate at the heritage site. So on the Friday night, it will be a VIP get together. As I read the notes here, it'll be a VIP get together on the Friday night for those who bought VIP tickets, to have a private ghost tour with all of the speakers, or a Skywatch with Lee. Saturday night, you can either take in the Skywatch after the speakers, or you could take in another ghost tour, or for 10 lucky people, just 10, I will take them out to one of our Sasquatch sites. Not Flight 21.
Okay.
Caribou Con is located at 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia, in the Caribou region. That's why it's Caribou Con. Right?
Yep.
And so after that, on the Sunday, we wrap up the speakers. If you want to hang out for a bit, you can. Or if you want to head home, you can. That's the way it is. All the speakers are going to stay till Monday, and we're going to have a good party that Sunday night.
That's the way it should be, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
So that other Sasquatch area that you're talking about, would that be the area where
that's the area where we found the footprint?
Yeah.
The sunken in footprint, which was really awesome.
Indeed.
You liked that area.
It was good. Yeah. Definitely something about that area. It's not like Flight 21, but it's different.
That area is very open.
Mm-hmm.
It has a bunch of different traffic ways, which you look for in the animal world. Like, we saw all sorts of prints from deer and moose and wolves, coyotes, bears, all sorts of prints. It's like a highway through there.
Yeah. Most definitely. There's so many different little ponds and in areas around there. And then you got the wild horses all over the place as well.
Lee was so excited when I showed him the wild horses up here that he actually got out of his vehicle. I'm not going to lie, Lee, I took some sexy pictures of you with the wild.
Did, but I still haven't gone through them.
You need to put those up because those are sexy pictures. He's actually posing, people. Very model-esque Lee Strauss is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to. I know they're here in some of this data that I've got sitting on my desk, but some of these cards. So
I hear you. We got about a minute and a half left, Lee. You know, there's a lot of UFO talk coming up that we could see more happening here very, very soon. More people coming out. Do you see that happening, or do you think they're going to shut it down for the rest of the year and wait to see what happens with the Schumer rounds bill?
well, yeah. I mean, obviously that's a big deal, but just like before, I think it's going to get shot down. There's no way it's going to pass. I mean, it's going to be. I mean, look what else is going on. We've got all these comets coming into the solar system right now. I think there's just so much happening at the moment that will just be another piece of tissue paper, basically. I don't think that's going to pass, my friend.
I don't know if it will. I don't know. There's already starting to be backlash towards it.
Mm-hmm.
And backlash towards what Congress is doing, and they feel that it's going to affect, here's those two words again, national security. It's all about national security, my man.
That's another buzzword like UAP.
And transparency. Lee, thank you. Lee Strauss from Element 115 on our YouTube channel every Friday night, 8 p.m. Pacific to 9 p.m. Pacific, as we say goodnight to Lee. And hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good
Just
job
like-
tonight, Lee.
Just like before, you've got your back to me.
I know I have to, unfortunately, because this is where we set things up. But you knew that. You were here when we discussed it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was there.
Yeah. How exciting is it, though, to actually do a Paracon up here, my man?
I'm excited about that, Tom. Tom, why the hell? Where did that come from? Dave. Jeez.
Thanks, Ned.
I'm tired, apparently, super tired. Yeah, I it's going to be cool, man. I had a great time last time I was there, and then thinking about having all of the people that we see on the side here, like Jay Truth Seeker and Tim Mothman. I mean, Tim Mothman, we've met before. He's a cool dude. I mean, people like Joe Monk and Julie Dawn. I mean, just all the regulars, right? Oh, it would be so cool to meet people in person.
Yeah, and that's why I want to see as many SOR people there as possible, even though my back is turned towards you right now. I can't see, but when I helped put together a Paracon here in 2018.
Yep.
And the group I put it together with, I'll be honest with you, they were terrible to work with. Absolutely horrible. And literally they didn't even have a single ticket printed until a month before the event. And my people who were listening to me, because your audience is always changing, my people who were listening to me at that time, they're like, Dave, we can't buy tickets. It's too late. It's too late. We wanted to come, but we can't buy tickets now. It's too late. So that's why we're going to give people about 10, 11 months in order to for a lot of our listeners, this is going to be their vacation for the year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that it's a special weekend for them. And, and that more importantly, they have time to save up. It's just like when I do the Vegas party for our fans, man, I have to save up my money in order to do that, in order to be able to go. I have to save up. I'm just as human as the rest of everybody else. So
Right.
I mean, we want to give people as much time as possible to save up for this event, and that way they could come. Tickets are going to be on sale. VIP tickets, there's going to be an early bird sale for about 3-4 months at, I believe it's going to be $179 Canadian. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. It's going to be $169 or $179 for the 3-day VIP package. And you have to be a VIP if you want to go on the Bigfoot hunt with us.
Well, that's super reasonable.
Yeah, compared to a lot of other conferences, that's incredibly reasonable. And the one thing for the listeners, I'll say this before I continue typing over there, because I should be looking at you guys when I say this. There's a couple of rules that I have instructed the board to do that I'm going to tell all of our guests when we book them to come. They must arrive on the Thursday or the early Friday morning, because the event starts at like 4:00 on the Friday afternoon. And they cannot leave until Monday. So what that means to you, the audience who comes, I've been to conferences, man. I've been to conferences where there are people that I want to talk to and they disappear. They disappear. You don't see them for the entire weekend, except maybe at the breakfast table, and you don't want to interrupt them because they're out and about doing their own thing, talking to other speakers and everything. Whereas I will instruct like people like Lee and myself and Merle and everybody, that part of your job in coming here to speak at this event is you're there to mingle with the audience, to talk paranormal with them, to talk UFOs with them outside of being on the stage or wherever. We want it to be intimate and interactive with absolutely everybody. So that's what we want to be able to happen. And so if you're in the US, if you're driving, all you need is an enhanced driver's license to cross the border. You do not need a passport. If you're flying, you need a passport. You got to be ready to rent a vehicle when you land in Vancouver. So, and then you enjoy the ride up.
Exactly.
And Lee will tell you point blank, it's probably one of the most beautiful drives in North America.
It was very, very pretty. That's for sure. I took the long way in, but it was gorgeous.
Yeah, man. So we want to make sure that everybody has it. So remember, I mean, if you're coming from the US, where a lot of our listeners are and where Lee is, watch the exchange rate. Okay, because your money is going to be worth a hell of a lot more than the Canadian peso.
And with that, my friend, I need to close my eyes because I'm super tired.
You go. Don't forget to call your girlfriend to say goodnight.
We're joined at the hip here with these things, whatever these are.
Those are called phones. They've been around for a while.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Thank you for a great night.
You too. Thank you. All right.
All right. Good night, buddy. Lee Strauss, everybody. 1 second here. Let me finish up here. All right. So once again, let me just put this up on the screen for you guys. September 18th to 20th, 2026. That is when we will be doing the first annual Caribou Con. Great volunteers will be putting it together. And just so you know, guys, all the funds go to support the museum. There is zero. I wouldn't get involved with something like this if it was for profit. So any money that is raised from this outside of having to bring speakers in will go towards the museum, which is a nonprofit organization. So it's a really, really amazing cause. And once you see the museum, you'll understand. But I want to see as many Spaced Out Radio listeners there as possible, and I will keep you very much up to date when tickets go on sale, when the website is up, when speakers are going to be announced, so on and so forth, because I want to make sure that all of you have the ability to take part in it. I really do. And the one thing that's exciting for us as well, okay, and one thing that I love is being able to meet our listeners at these conferences, because we just know you as a listener or a name on YouTube for the most part. But we all, but there are thousands of more people who are listening via the podcast or the radio side, and we don't get an opportunity to know who they are. So when somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, Dave, I've been listening to you for years on KZAX or wherever it may be, and it's so nice to meet you, and finally get to say hello," that's a true honor that I take, and I know a lot of other researchers and people take that stance as well. And so this is an opportunity for us to meet you and you to meet us. Sure, we're a little out of the way, but you know what? It's going to be a great vacation. It's going to be a great vacation for you. It's going to be a cheap vacation, unless you decide to buy a bunch of trinkets, things like that. That's up to you. The elevation here is about 3/4 of a mile above sea level. J Truth Seeker, you could do that if you wish. That is up to you. This for a second. But we're going to make sure, like, say, for instance, if you go on a ghost tour, okay, the speakers will be there going along with the ghost tour with you. If we have an SOR party, they're going to be there with you, so we're going to be, no, there is no GoFundMe for the museum. I think you can make donations via the website, there will be merch tables all around. We will try and have some SOR swag there as well. I'll try and get some special stuff made up just for that event, because I do like having giveaways, that's for sure. Let me go here. Where am I? I will make sure that if you show up, Seymour, that there is medium-sized shirts there. And no, Tim, I am Pam. Yeah, there will be vendors at the site as well. Oh, I pretty much guarantee T-Bone will be up here for that. He's not missing that. Not a chance. He ain't doing that. Right, T-Bone? Yeah, T-Bone went early, didn't he? We had the I Am Pam t-shirts on the website. We didn't sell a single one. I think that's funny. Sold a bunch of, we've sold almost everything at least once. We didn't sell a single I Am Pam t-shirt. I don't think people got it. By the way, where is I Am Pam? Where's she been hiding? Is she okay? Does anybody know? That's awesome. Flat 6. That makes me laugh, actually. Oh, man. There will be camping as well. So if you don't want to stay in a hotel and you want to camp, you can camp on the museum property. Get your butt up here, Luscious Jules. You have literally 11 months and 1 week. 11 months and 3 weeks to save up. Worth the road trip, flat 6. Oh, by the way, if you hadn't heard, Kevin Kennedy, one of our longtime listeners, Kevin Kennedy passed away a couple weeks ago. I forgot to tell you guys that. I guess he was pretty ill and didn't tell us. Felt bad. Yeah. There was if you go to his Facebook page, Kevin Kennedy, there's a post from his son there. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, it says on September 8th, Kevin's son said, "My father passed away a few days ago at St. Luke's in Boise, Idaho. He got to talk with Brett and I guess that's his sons. This is Jeremy. I just wanted to share a few things with everyone. Before he died, my father had moments where he couldn't talk but was aware of what was going on. He also had periods of full lucidity and was able to have short conversations. I won't share all the details, blah, blah, blah. We're going to miss him." And yeah, passed away, unfortunately, around the 6th of this month, I guess. You know what? The one thing that I liked about him, even though he pissed me off in the chat room a number of times, was that he had his faith. And hopefully he had a clear conscience of where he was going. And that goes for all of us too, man. You know, honestly. But it's sad. I hate losing listeners. That I know of, I think 5 that I know of. AJ, how you doing? I think it's 5 that I know of that have passed. Give me 2 seconds here, guys. There we go. Well, Butch Witkowski was the biggest one. There are a couple of people I remember, but I've forgotten their names. One was probably one of the weirdest people I've ever talked to. I'm not going to go into detail because I don't have to. This is going back 8 years ago. There was Ethereal Aura. There was another one who passed away earlier this year. Why am I drawing a blank on that one? I don't know where Jenny White Bear went. She doesn't even seem to be on Facebook anymore. Maybe something happened to her too. I don't know. See, it's really hard as a host to tell because you'll get people who come in to the chat room over the years and they will be like all like hardcore about the show. And then all of a sudden they just disappear or they build a beef with you and then they never show up again. Good example of that is Marty Burback, right? That's what sucks. You just don't know. Nah, Bim Jim can't stand me. I'm okay with that. Who is someone who passed away earlier this year? A few months ago. I don't know. Yeah, Renee Cruz. Thank you. Thank you, Kitty. And Tim, thank you. Over the years, there's been a few. Jeff Meldrum just passed. Yeah. It's hard to make a list. All right. I got to head to bed, guys, because I do have to work on the weekend. Make sure you'll hear us talking more about Caribou Con coming on up. I will let you know as soon as tickets go on sale. And thank you guys for a great night. Thank you for a great week. Don't forget Sweet Robbie G this weekend. We'll talk very soon, guys. Much love. See you soon.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.